Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has eternal mangekyou sharingan and Ruby. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by ZeroDivisionRaijin and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. So you want to know my story, huh? You're not the first, and you won't be the last. My legend is one that many have heard but not believed, so I wonder how you will take this. Where to start off? Oh yeah. I'm not from this dimension. Surprising, I know, but it's the honest truth. My life has been filled with a myriad of tragedies, some out of my control and some I caused with my own hands. That's what makes me special, I guess. I can either be your best friend or your worst nightmare. One thing's for sure, though, being the good guy is just boring as hell. I didn't want to be the good guy. I might have started off with dreams of grandeur stuck in my head, but the real world soon smacked some sense into me, or it smacked a bit of madness into me, either or. Oh, you want to hear the whole story? Of me? I'm flattered. Well, what better place to start than the beginning? You see, I had just saved my village from a man by the name of Nagato Uzumaki, or Pain as everyone knew him as. I was regarded as a hero, but there was just one problem. You see, why was it like this? Why did it have to be like this? He saved them all, damn it. He thought they were his friends. It just wasn't fair. Ever since the Pain invasion, Konoha as a whole was thankful to Naruto for saving them. They even declared him a hero for his actions. But his so-called friends, however, were less than pleased. They saw him at his worst, in a form that he didn't want them to see. They all had seen him go into his six-tailed state, and eventually into his eight-tailed state against Pain, and if that wasn't bad enough, they blamed him for Hinata being mortally wounded. They all blamed him, they all despised him, now everyone except a certain pinkette by the name of Haruno Sakura and Sai. Just ignore them, Naruto. Sakura softly said to him, while gently pulling him away. They're just biased assholes. Why did it come to this? Naruto asked while leveling a glare at Shikamaru, who seemed to recoil a bit. We all saw what you turned into. Shikamaru responded calmly. All our lives we were taught that the Kyuubi was an evil thing to be feared and reviled. Little did we know that its Jinchuriki was sitting right under our noses. Just because Naruto-kun is a Jinchuriki doesn't mean he is the Kyuubi itself. Sai came to the aid of his only friend. Do keep in mind that he saved Konoha from the Akatsuki leader himself, and regained control from the beast. That doesn't mean shit. Kiba snarled. What he holds inside of him destroyed our village once and killed our Yondaime, 4th Hokage. The Akatsuki targeted us because we refused to give him up, and as a result, we were attacked. Our village was destroyed again, and Hinata might die from her wounds. All of this could have been avoided if we just gave him up in the first place. You haven't seen what the Akatsuki do to the Jinchuriki they capture. Sakura shot back. And you wouldn't understand even if I took the time to explain it to you, dog breath. Watch your mouth, bitch. Maybe I should also remind you all of another fact, Sai drawled as he reached back for his tanto. The Sandaime's third's decree is still in effect. Anyone that talks about Uzumaki Naruto's condition in public is to be executed. Shall I exercise that mandate? No, Sai. Naruto cut in. Don't give them the satisfaction. Let's just go, you two. At once, all three of them turned on their heels and began to walk away from the group. Just like a little bitch. Kiba yelled after them. Retreating with your boy toy and useless whore. Gonna go fuck your worries away? Sakura was about to turn and retaliate, but a sudden gust of wind in her face stopped her. Next thing she knew, Naruto was in front of Kiba and sent a straight punch to the Inuzuka's throat, which sent him clattering to his knees, holding said area, choking. He then thrusted his left and right hands to the sides and sent both Shikamaru and Ino flying away, a burst of futon, wind release, chakra. And as Akamaru went in for a bite, the dog was instead tackled into a wall by one of Sai's drawings. Chuji was the next one to step up, but a punch to the face from Sakura sent him skidding back flat on his back. As everyone leveled a stare at Shino, the Aburame heir slowly shook his head at his friends, as he was one of the people who were secretly on Naruto's side. Seeing everyone else sprawled out before him, he shook his head once again and silently walked away. The noise of gagging and heaving soon reached Naruto's ears as he looked down to see that Kiba was still recovering from the throat punch, and this was when a laugh escaped him. Just like a little bitch, Naruto growled, repeating Kiba's prior words. On your knees like a little bitch. The blonde then pulled the Inuzuka sharply upwards by the collar of his jacket so he was eye level. Consider this a warning, Inuzuka. Don't fuck with me, or my remaining friends. Ever again. You hear me? A few frantic nods from Kiba sealed the deal before Naruto threw the boy back to the ground and began walking away. We've made our point, he said to both Sakura and Sai, who fell into step on either side of him, Sakura to his right and Sai to his left. They're not going to let this go, Sai said. With Tsunade-sama out of commission, there's no one to protect you save for us, Kakashi, Yamato Taishu and maybe Shino-san. Sai's right, Naruto, Sakura added. We need to be careful from now on. Well, Naruto hummed. I have an idea. It might not be the smartest idea, but it's an idea nonetheless. Office of Shimura Danzo, half an hour later. I see, Danzo said as he sipped his tea. This is indeed a problem. I understand now why you came to me, Naruto-san. So? Naruto asked. Is there anything that can be done? The war hawk began to ponder. Sai, you vouch for these two? Hi, Danzo-sama. Sai responded with confidence filling his voice. Very well. I'll take you in, Naruto-san. If you wish, you may join my ANBU division known as Root. You as well, Harino-san. I need as many recruits as I can muster. I will, Danzo-sama. Sakura nodded. The extra training won't hurt, and besides, someone has to look out for this knucklehead. Sakura-chan. Naruto deflated. I'm honored to have the hero of Konoha as one of my allies. Danzo cut in as he stood and extended his good hand. I look forward to working with and training you, Naruto-san. Thank you, Danzo-sama. Naruto said while grasping the older man's hand in a handshake. Oh, this was too good to be true. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki willingly joining Root as an escape from his now hostile friends. Inwardly, Danzo began to celebrate, as he was just given his victory on a giant silver platter. All that was left was to train him, bring him to heel, make him obedient. The Haruno girl was just an added bonus, as she seemed to be holding Naruto's figurative leash. Very good, he'd bend and mold them both into true Root ANBU and he'd use them to further secure his victory. Are you watching me now, Hiruzen? I've won, Danzo mused to himself, while keeping a neutral outward appearance. Konoha, 2 months later. Senju Tsunade is dead then? Asked the fire daimyo through the TV he was sitting in front of. Hi, daimyo-sama. One Nara Shikaku confirmed. She died this morning, better than a result of her injuries sustained during the fight with the Akatsuki leader. Then the time has come, we need a new Hokage. I agree. Kohara nodded. Have we any nominations? I nominate Uzumaki Naruto. Came Danzo's reply, and suddenly, all eyes were on him. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki? The fire daimyo queried, a thoughtful look on his face. He's the son of our late Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato. More than that, he's the hero of Konoha. He fought the Akatsuki leader and defeated him. That proves that he can fight on par with the best of us. Aburame should be added to Danzo's nomination, and his leadership skills have improved as of late. Yamanaka Inoichi noted. He's quickly risen through the ranks, first as a Chunin, then as a Jounin shortly after, and now he's one of our best ANBU. He seems to be a competent teacher as well. Hamura supplied. He's helped train that Harino girl, Sakura, into a rather fine ANBU also. The will of fire burns brightly in him. Danzo decided to defend his nomination. I have no doubt that he can only grow even more powerful from here. I nominate Hatake Kakashi. Shikaka quickly cut in, making Danzo narrow his eyes at the Nara. The Yondaime's last surviving student? Inuzuka-sama asked. He's far more experienced than Naruto is. Shikaku defended. He's a veteran of the Third Great Shinobi World War, and he's been decorated time and again for his heroism. He's our most experienced Jounin, and he's more than eligible for at least a consideration. Naruto happens to be our Jinchuriki. Danzo shot back. What better way to keep an eye on him than to make him our Hokage, like Suna did by making their Jinchuriki their Godaime, 5th Kazekage? We'd have near constant watch on him. The village would have their hero to look up to as their new leader, and even though he may be young, he has more room to grow than Hatake-san, who has undoubtedly reached his peak. Well, what does our daimyo think? Kohara asked while turning to the TV. Uzumaki Naruto. The daimyo decided. I have decided that Uzumaki Naruto shall take Tsunade's place and become the Rokudaime, 6th Hokage. Shikaku-san, if you would have the Jounin vote on this matter? Hamura asked, or rather commanded Shikaku to do. Hi, Hamura-sama. Shikaku sighed as he leaned back in his seat and pinched the bridge of his nose. Root base. An hour later, there stood Naruto, now dressed in an ANBU's armor, plus a hooded black cloak draped around his frame and the customary tattoo upon his right shoulder. Beside him was Sakura, who was also wearing ANBU armor and had the same tattoo upon her left shoulder. She had let her hair grow out slightly within these 2 months, and it now reached down to just above her shoulder blades. Sai stood to his left in the same armor, but he was lacking the tattoo. On cue, all three took a knee as Danzo and 2 of his root guards walked into the base. Things have gone according to plan, Naruto. Danzo spoke as the 3 then rose. The daimyo has decided that you are to become the Rokudaime Hokage, and now the Jounin are voting as we speak. They will no doubt vote for you, their hero. Here we go, Sakura chuckled. A knucklehead in charge. We're doomed. She smirked at her friend. Shut up. Naruto smiled back at her while playfully pushing her. Before you become Hokage, Naruto, Danzo interrupted. I need to know something. Of course, Danzo-sama. Naruto nodded. What do you intend to do about Uchiha Sasuke? Naruto paused. Well, he began to hesitate. I'd give him one more chance to come back. And if he refuses, then we kill him. He replied without hesitation this time. I agree. Sakura said, mildly shocking Danzo. Truly, the pinkette had matured greatly in the 2 months, and it astounded the war hawk to no end that she was willing to kill her. Sasuke-kun, very well then. Danzo nodded. Enjoy your time as Hokage, Naruto. And do your predecessors proud. We'll be in touch. With a wave of his hand, Danzo got rid of the curse seals hidden beneath his and Sakura's tongues. thereby effectively releasing them from their obligations to Root. Before passing by Sai, Danzo also waved his hand and Sai could feel his own curse seal disappearing. Danzo-sama? Sai asked in confusion. He'll need a competent advisor by his side. I know of no one better for the job, was all the Warhawk said before silently walking away. Well, Naruto sighed with a smile. All we need to do now is wait until there's a consensus. He then began to head for the exit to the base, where Sakura and Sai fell into step behind him. As we expected, I did indeed become Hokage, by a landslide, no less. Within the week, I was inaugurated and I accepted the hat. It was one of the best moments in my life, and I still consider it one of my more treasured memories. Sakura and Sai were by my side when I accepted the hat, and I didn't know it at the time. But the way Sakura looked at me, all I knew back then was that there was something different in how she looked at me. She seemed to smile more while she was with me, laugh louder, fumble over her words when I teased her. I didn't know what it was back then, but I eventually found out she had fallen completely, head over heels in love with me. She had actually moved on from Sasuke and saw me in a different light. Konoha, midnight, a month after inauguration. Loud laughter filled the night air of Konoha as their new Hokage and his chief advisor leaped and bound from rooftop to rooftop, with Naruto ahead of the pink cat in an impromptu race of sorts. Too slow, Sakura-chan. Naruto called back to her as he jumped to another roof, his new black duster flapping in the wind behind him. I don't care about the race anymore, Sakura said through her giggles. It just feels good to get out of the mansion for once, don't I know it? Eventually, they made their way to the outskirts of Konoha, to training ground number 3, where Team 7 had originally been formed 3 short years ago. Nostalgic Naruto sighed. 3 years. Has it really been that long? I can scarcely believe it. Sakura agreed. So much has changed since those days, the both of us included. Naruto nodded. I'm Hokage now, you're my chief advisor, along with Sai. Sasuke's gone rogue and is working with Akatsuki, and we have to kill him. I know. Sakura sighed. Sad that it's come to that, but it has to be done. You're getting all serious again. Naruto smiled while lightly pushing her before he took a seat on a nearby log. I like it when you smile, and that frown is unbecoming of you. I mean, it's she began to ramble on with a tint of red adorning her cheeks. Wait, you like my smile? And your hair? You've grown it back out. Brings out the vividness of your eyes and it frames that forehead of yours perfectly. And my forehead, she then cast her look downwards. It's not ugly in any way. It's rather charming, actually. And your hair is cut at just the right length where just he paused, his own cheeks gaining a blush. Makes you look beautiful. You think I'm beautiful? She asked, her eyes wide and her full attention now on her Hokage. Why, yeah, though you probably hear that all the time, especially from Lee and from me, way back when I had that crush on you. Do you still have it? That crush, I mean? What does it matter? There are tons of guys out there that are better than me, Sakura-chan. You deserve better. What if, she began as she took a seat beside him. What if I said I had a crush? Then I would say that he's a lucky man, whoever he is. What if the man I had a crush on was sitting right beside me right now? Naruto's head whipped to his right at hearing this. And what if this crush was not a crush at all? What if this crush was true love? As Sakura-chan, you can't mean. Hi, I do. She then leaned into him a bit more, her eyes half-lidded. Uzumaki Naruto, I love you. That was it. That's all it took. Once her confession came out, they both had leaned in fully and captured each other's lips in a soft, slow kiss that seemed to blur out everything else in the world save for each other. Her right hand went up to caress his whiskered right cheek, while his right hand began to run through her long pink hair. They remained tongue-tied for a few more seconds before Naruto broke the kiss, and softly leaned his forehead onto hers and looked straight into her eyes. I've loved you for the longest time, Sakura-chan. And I promise you this, I'm yours from now on until I draw my last breath. Nothing will come between us, not as long as I draw breath. I know you mean it, Naruto-kun, and I want to remain by your side. Now and forever. At hearing those words, Naruto dove in for another kiss, which Sakura readily and greedily accepted. For the first time in his life, Naruto felt truly happy and truly accepted. He would be damned if he'd let this go. That was the beginning of something great, or I thought so back then, at least. Shortly after Sakura and I got together, the Akatsuki resurfaced with a man by the name of Obito Uchiha leading them. He had taken over as the leader and was threatening to start the Fourth Great Shinobi World War. A Kage's summit was called, and as Hokage, I had an obligation to show up. While negotiating on how to take care of the Akatsuki once and for all, Obito attacked and Sasuke was with him. Things soon went to shit after that. People died, and then this is where the story takes a turn for the worse. It's how I came to this dimension. You're the last one living now, Naruto. Sasuke smirked as Naruto held a dying Sakura in his arms. We've won. Some Hokage you turned out to be. Obito chuckled as he removed his orange mask. A disgrace to that title. Don't listen to them, Naruto-kun, Sakura managed to say before coughing up an amount of blood, which mingled with the blood that was pouring out of Naruto's right eye socket, where his right eye should have been. Don't speak, Sakura-chan, preserve your strength. You're both dead anyways. Sasuke shrugged. The dead last and his slut, dying together, how pathetic. Sakura-chan, I have to leave you for a few minutes, Naruto growled out. She knew that tone, she knew that look, and despite the pain, she managed to smile. Go give them hell, she managed to say before Naruto laid her softly upon the ground and stood. A last stand, huh? Obito hummed. It seems you're not totally hopeless after all. I got just one more surprise up my sleeve, Naruto smirked as he spun out the one kunai that made Obito's eyes widen in fear. It can't be, he managed to say before both he and Sasuke turned to find Naruto behind them both, kunais at both of their throats. You let your guards down, and now you're dead, Naruto said before violently dragging his twin kunais across their throats. Splashes of crimson stained the floor, followed by the bodies of both Uchihas as they clattered down, eyes widened in shock. Hiraishin no Jutsu, Flying Thunder God technique, was a success. You haven't won yet, bellowed a dark voice as a black mass shot up out of the ground and attached itself to Obito's corpse, which then began to stand up, albeit on wobbly legs. The Rinnegan in his left eye socket began to glow, while the Sharingan in his right eye socket began to spin. Zetsu? Naruto exclaimed in shock before a third eye appeared in what seemed to be Zetsu's forehead, suspended within the blackness. It was another Sharingan, Obito's left eye that had been taken from Kakashi's corpse. Things will run smoother if you just disappeared. The vortex that was Kamui began to surround Naruto in an instant, thanks to Obito's left eye. No chakra left, damn it. Gotta rush him and hope to Kami that I can outpace the Kamui. Naruto's thoughts raced in urgency as he gripped his twin kunais and rushed headlong at Zetsu/Obito. First, the kunai in his left hand was sucked in, and then the gravity around him began to lessen. Even still, he made it to Zetsu just in time and began to desperately claw at the third eye, managing only to gouge out Obito's right eye in the process. With one Sharingan taken care of and currently being held in his left hand, Naruto brought his kunai to bear upon the third eye, but was stopped when he himself began to be sucked into the vortex. Goodbye, Uzumaki, Zetsu called out with a cackle. While being sucked in, Naruto managed one last look behind the reanimated corpse of Obito to see if Sakura was alright. His remaining eye widened when he saw that she was no longer breathing, and she had an amount of blood leaking out of the corners of her mouth, and yet a smile on her face. She was dead, and that alone was enough to freeze any action that Naruto would have took. Not that he could have done anything more than struggle in vain as the Kamui consumed him. That was the last thing he saw before his world faded into darkness. Chapter 2. Hello and goodbye, partner. Another day gone within the blur that was Naruto's life. It had been about a month since he had landed in the world called Remnant from what he could gather. Upon waking up from the darkness that consumed him, and upon noticing that he managed to save Obito's right eye, he had implanted said orb into his eye socket, and found that he could actually change between its inactive form, its active form and the mangekyou form, which he considered to be very useful, as he still remembered Kakashi trying to use a constantly active Sharingan. The second thing he did was break down after the adrenaline had worn off. Reality had caught up with him, and he remembered that Sakura was dead. Zetsu had most likely gone through with whatever plans it had, and that he was now trapped within an unknown and totally new dimension altogether. He had failed as a Hokage, and now his world was totally lost to him. Hopefully, this world would fare much better. And finally, the last thing he noticed was, much to his dismay, he now had a pair of yellow fox ears atop his head, but no tail, thankfully. This confused the hell out of him, and coaxed a huge amount of laughter from the Kyuubi, which Naruto had learned the name of. Kurama had found it hysterical that his Jinchuriki now had to live with a ridiculous pair of ears, and then found it demeaning when the local racists began to berate the blonde, calling him a faunus. So much for this world being better than his last. And then there was the Grim. Apparently, this world was infested with the blighted creatures and had been for a very long time. Of course, they posed little threat to a shinobi of Naruto's caliber. But alas, the inhabitants of this world were not shinobi or kunoichi, just regular humans that could barely harness their aura as they called it. The way Naruto understood it, aura was their word for chakra, and yet they weren't the same, just shared some similarities here and there. When Naruto's chakra network pumped a constant flow of chakra throughout his body, a person's aura came from harnessing the power of his or her own soul, and the extremely adept, or lucky in some cases, users could take it to the next level by using what was known as a semblance. To Naruto, aura was a watered-down version of chakra, and a semblance was basically an advanced chakra nature, possibly a Kekkei Genkai, bloodline limit. That being said, he was impressed by the people who called themselves hunters. Huntsmen and huntresses were the special forces who specialized in combating the Grim, and they were damn good at their job. Though Naruto had initially wondered why they were all regarded as heroes, he quickly came to grasp the idea that not everyone was cut out to fight creatures such as the Grim every day of their life, and he respected each and every one of them for what they chose to do with their lives. But at the same time, ever since he had lost both his girlfriend and his world, things began to look darker and darker for Naruto. His outlook on life was becoming increasingly cynical, and he could feel himself becoming increasingly apathetic to just about everything. He just didn't care about anything anymore. He could feel his dark side coming to light. He could hear the whispers for him to give in, and eventually he did. There was too much injustice in this new world called Remnant. The faunas were being oppressed and, in most cases, criminally violated. The four kingdoms were more focused on making money and more worried about their own public images than fighting the Grimm, and the worst atrocity of all, the hunters were being regulated by the four kingdoms instead of being their own separate entity, which Naruto believed they should have been. Sure, they still fought the Grimm, but in most cases they were used for off-the-book clandestine missions against the kingdoms themselves or against anything else that threatened the kingdom's power. Naruto had decided early on that change had to come, but he had to bide his time. So, he placed himself on the market as a mercenary of sorts and had made a respectable amount of lien, which was Remnant's primary form of currency. In the process, we could currently find our blonde Faunus lying happily in his bed. He was currently residing in a relatively small town in Northern Vale, which was in turn located in a rather expansive snowy forest, the one from the red trailer. It was secluded, which most suited Naruto's current needs. He had been using this place, which he later came to know as the town of Frostback, as his temporary home base. As Naruto lazily slept in his bed, a ringing sound filled the air. Cracking his onyx black right eye open, he saw that his scroll was ringing. So, with a groan, he reached over to his nightstand, took the object and answered the call. "Yeah?" Naruto groggily said. "Naruto Uzumaki?" Came the voice on the other end of the line, a man, speaking. "Who is this?" "My name is Adam Taurus. I got your contact information from one of your regular clients, one Heishion. And why would Junior pass along my name to you? I represent an organization you may or may not be familiar with. The White Fangs?" And now everything clicked into place. "I see. Then the purpose of this call is to set up a meeting with me, to try and recruit me into the Fangs? Very astute of you, Naruto. Indeed, I wish to try and recruit you. All I ask is for a meeting. I'll leave the decision to join up to you." "Very well, Adam. You have your meeting. Time and place?" "The diner down the road from your apartment, 10 minutes. The call then ended and Naruto had to stifle a laugh. This Adam Taurus was good, it seemed. Good enough to track him to Frostback, at least. It was fortuitous that Adam had called, really. Time to move on to Phase 2. Naruto inwardly mused as he swung himself out of bed and quickly dressed himself. His attire now consisted of a black tank top over which was a white long-sleeved t-shirt that had a black bar running down both sleeves, black circling the collar and the hem, and a stylized image of a black longsword pointing down with black flames streaming off of it, and a black Uzumaki swirl on the back. Adorning his hands were a pair of fingerless black leather gloves that held an electric blue circle upon their palms, and from the pair of circles sprouted out 5 lines of the same color, one for each finger. Black cargo pants adorned his lower half, along with a utility belt that held a holster upon the lower back, slanted towards his right hip, 2 notches on either hip and plenty of pouches filled with whatever he needed and a silver hourglass as its belt buckle. Black combat boots were his choice of footwear, and strapped to the right boot was a sheath to a dagger of some kind. Hanging from his neck was a silver amulet of professional make, and it had a sapphire set in as its centerpiece. With his clothing picked out for now, Naruto moved on to his weapons. Opening his closet once again, he pulled out a couple of cases, one that stood about 5 feet 4 inches to his 5 feet 7 inches and another one, much smaller than the first, and laid them both upon his bed. Opening the smaller one first, Naruto smirked at the beauty of a pistol therein. It was a 10mm semi-automatic pistol with a black finish to the metal, rubber grips and improved iron sights with a built-in muzzle brake and a slightly extended barrel, plus a long slide. He had named this pistol Eclipse for its mostly black color, but also because whenever he fired it, it emitted a black muzzle flash because of the dust rounds he was most fond of using. Taking Eclipse out of its case, he slid it into the holster upon his lower back with the grip of the pistol pointed towards his right hip for easy access, then filled a couple of his pouches with the clips he had for it. Once done, he opened the second case and a smirk once again upon seeing his twin katanas, Akai, red, and Kurwa, black, which were aptly named. Akai was a katana that had a pure red blade and a black sheath, and Kurwa was a katana that had a stark black blade and a red sheath. See, these were Naruto's temporary weapons, as he was currently in the process of building his main weapon which would eventually replace his katanas, but for now, they would do nicely, and they had indeed served him well. After taking the katanas out of the case, he notched Akai upon his right hip and Kurwa upon his left, then took out the last blade that shared the case with the katanas. It was a dagger that was completely black and had a curved blade with 2 protrusions along the grip, one nearer the knuckle than the other at the base of the grip. Think Skyrim's version of the Blade of Woe. This dagger he named Ketsu, blood, and this was the dagger that fit in the boot sheath, where he promptly put it. With his weapons now in place, Naruto then made his way out of his apartment, after wrapping a red scarf around his neck to help fight the cold weather outside. Once outside, he made the rather short walk to the diner Adam had specified and entered said establishment. The owner of the place knew him and immediately queued up his regular order of a bacon cheeseburger loaded with everything and a side of fries. Taking one of the empty booths, Naruto was content to wait in the warmth for his guest, and it didn't take long for both his burger to arrive, as well as the 10-minute mark to end. Down to the very last second, a man wearing a black suit and a white grim mask walked in and scanned the crowd for a few seconds before being waved over to the booth by Naruto. Trailing him was a girl of around 16 years old who had waist-length black hair and a bow tied atop her crown with striking amber eyes. With one sniff, Naruto could already tell she was a fauness, but it wasn't his business to ask why she was hiding her cat ears. A pleasure to finally meet you, Mr. Uzumaki. Adam greeted as he slid into the seat opposite of Naruto. I see you wasted no time getting comfortable while waiting for us. At this point, the girl had taken a seat beside Adam. I'm on rather good terms with the owner of this diner, Naruto admitted. She knows my usual order, so she just rang me up as I entered. Who am I to refuse? Indeed. Adam nodded. And I would be a poor host if I did not offer you two a spot of lunch. Shall you both have anything? I'll have her put it on my tab. Just a steak for me. Medium well, thank you. And your friend? Blake, he means you. Adam muttered to the now identified Blake, who was fascinated by Naruto's whiskers, and by fascinated, she was lightly blushing. Blake stammered. A tuna sandwich, please. So Naruto began after popping a fry into his mouth. You wish to enter into a partnership. He decided against referring to the White Fangs by name, since they were in a public place. A partnership that I believe would be beneficial to us both. Adam nodded. My associates believe you to be a valuable asset. You're one of the very few of our species that has had any modicum of success. You're something of an icon to those of us who know who you are and how you've gained your fame. I also have it on good authority that you've been seeking to expand your operations. Junior told you that much, did he? Naruto sighed. We gotta renegotiate the meaning of discretion. This is what we're offering. You join us and we provide you with the expansion you've been seeking. You gain what you want while we gain a local icon. It's a win-win. And what of Blake here, if I may ask? What of her? Are you her mentor? What is she to you? She's sort of my student, I guess. Adam admitted, completely oblivious to Blake's blush. To be honest, I have my hands full dealing with my associates and out needs. What's your interest in her? On the condition that she become my apprentice, then I accept your offer. The ram faunus adopted a contemplative stance. Blake, what do you think? She began to blush again. I don't care either way, Adam. I'm fine staying with you or going with him. And why do you need an apprentice, exactly? You both are the same age, surely there's nothing that you could teach her that she doesn't already know. Naruto had to stifle a chuckle at that, and he did it expertly. Perhaps I used the incorrect term. He offered. I'm looking for a partner more than I am an apprentice. Well, she is ready to take on more responsibilities, Adam pondered. Very well. Welcome to the family, Naruto. He then extended his right hand, to which Naruto accepted and promptly shook it. About that time, Adam's steak and Blake's tuna sandwich had arrived and the three then dug into their food discussing the finer points of the deal, as well as more frivolous things, getting to know one another. An hour and a half had gone by before all three had finished their meals, at which point Adam had bade his farewell and left Blake with Naruto. So Naruto began as he and his new partner waked back to his apartment. Partners. Yeah, Blake, at this point, was buried in a book she had brought with her, the first volume of the Ninjas of Love series. Erosenin, if you were here right now, you'd be begging me to jump her, Naruto mused to himself upon reading the title of the Ica-like series. Seeing as Blake was engrossed in her smut, Naruto had a few good minutes to just drink in her exotic beauty. He could tell that she was more lethal than she was letting on, but at the same time, he could sense a softer side to her, a side that she rarely ever let see the light of day for fear of being called soft or uncommitted to the White Fangs and their goals. Mingled with the lethality and hidden softness was fear. Fear of being found out, fear of being too weak, fear of being found wanting, fear of being alone. In the process of reaching out with a bit of nature chakra to read her, Naruto was finding her vulnerabilities, and one such was a fear of being alone. Blake was more complicated than he gave her credit for, and at that moment, he knew he made the right choice in his selection of a partner. On the other side of things, Blake was still nose deep into her smutty novel, but that was merely a distraction from the blonde beside her. He was mostly an enigma to her. She couldn't get a good read on him. She was normally good at reading people, but Naruto seemed to always be on guard, not letting any weakness or vulnerabilities show. He always had his figurative armor on. There was one thing, however, that she knew was fake. It was the look in his mismatched eyes. Behind the complete heterochromia, which she oddly enough found to be charmingly intoxicating to look at, was a broken shell of a man that had been through many eons worth of pain, and came out none the better. There was a darkness behind Naruto's blue and black eyes, a darkness that made her shiver, that made her fear for her very life, but at the same time, that same darkness was not necessarily pointed at her, it was mainly directed at the world itself. Naruto was a very intriguing person to her, and she was glad that he had picked her as his partner. One thing was for sure, things would be very interesting for the both of them. 3 months later, White Fang Atlas Chapter Noon, kick, punch, punch, kick, punch, punch, kick. It was the same routine that she had gone through for 3 months prior, and it was the same set that he was effortlessly weaving his way around. Naruto had fit in quite nicely with the White Fangs, and he and Blake had hit it off as partners from the word go. They complemented each other. Naruto was the frontline fighter while Blake served as his backup and shadow. They seemed to feed off of each other, and when one came up with a strategy in the middle of a battle, the other would instantly adapt to it, evident in their daily sparring matches which Naruto had suggested to keep them sharp. He was currently in nothing but his tank top, pants and boots, while Blake was sporting a similar tank top, had foregone her bow and was wearing a pair of white gym shorts. Sweat was pouring off of the two of them as they went through their routine before Naruto decided to kick things into high gear. Going in for a right snap jab, he hit nothing but air as Blake leaned her head out of the way and brought her own right fist around for a punch. Grabbing a hold of her fist with his left hand, Naruto pulled her in closer to him to throw her off balance, and tried to take her to the floor with a leg sweep. But at the last minute she wrapped her right leg around Naruto's left and fell to the floor with him landing on top of her, where she then quickly swung around and trapped his right arm in an armbar. Lightly chuckling, he tapped the mat with his left hand, signaling his defeat. As they both rose, a round of applause was sent their way from the White Fang members that were watching. Their little sparring matches had always attracted attention and had even prompted a little betting pool around them, with Naruto usually being the odds-on favorite. Today, however, Blake was the winner. "You let me have that," she huffed out while drying herself off with a towel she retrieved from her gym bag. "Gotta let you have a victory here and there once in a while, Blake." Naruto managed a smirk. "Yeah," she lightly scoffed. "And I want to earn that victory, not have it given to me. Keep pushing yourself, Blake. You'll be able to beat me one of these days." "Naruto," came the voice of Adam. "Yeah?" Naruto hollered back. "Got a mission for you and Blake. Wash up and gear up. Duty calls." Blake sighed. "As always." Naruto agreed. 3 months later, Vale City, midnight. "Please," begged one person. "Let us go. You enslave my species, you discriminate against us, you support the Schnee Dust Company and now you have the audacity to beg to be let go?" Raged none other than Naruto through his full-face black and white grim mask as he pointed Eclipse at the man's head. "No mercy shall be given today. Now, I want Rickon Schnee to show himself right now. Or else I kill the lot of you." "Fine," Rickon yelled out as he stood. Rickon Schnee, younger brother of the current CEO of the Schnee Dust Company, John Schnee. "A worthy target for the White Fangs. Here I am, just let these people go." "Oh, my dear Schnee." Naruto began to chuckle. "You didn't think I'd really keep my word, did you?" Boom! A resounding gunshot reverberated off of the walls of the warehouse they all were in as Naruto pulled the trigger on his hostage, then leveled Eclipse at Rickon. "Let the massacre begin, boys," Naruto hollered out, prompting his squad of White Fang underlings to open fire while Naruto himself pulled the trigger on Rickon, hitting the man square in the chest with that oh-so-powerful 10mm round. The man's life was extinguished, along with the 30 or so people with him. In seconds the massacre was over and Naruto's lieutenant stepped up. "What are we to do with the Schnee bastard's body, sir?" asked the lieutenant. "Take his head, send it to John. Burn the rest, along with this building," Naruto coldly stated as he holstered Eclipse. "Yes, sir." Later, while being debriefed by Adam, a certain Cat Faunus would learn of her partner's hand in the massacre, and this would be her turning point. Naruto's darkness was being drawn out now, and the White Fang as a whole was making a turn for the worse. But she just couldn't abandon them, could she? 6 months later, Forever Fall Forest, Schnee Train. Naruto swiped a kai to the side to rid it of the blood before sheathing it and nodding at his handiwork. He had ambushed the train ahead of Adam and Blake to rid it of its human operators and engineers, leaving only the mechs to deal with. Gunfire then filled the rear cars as Naruto rushed to help his partners. By the time he arrived, Adam had finished off the big mech, but Blake was standing to the side on another car grasping the hilt of Gamble's shroud. "Blake," Naruto began. "What are you doing? Don't, Blake!" Adam yelled to her. Amber eyes met blue and onyx as the amber orbs hardened. Blake brought Gamble's shroud down onto the lynch between the two cars and sliced it in half, separating the still moving half from her half, which was now drifting to a stop. "Goodbye," she said to them both, though widened her eyes when Naruto withdrew Eclipse and leveled it at her. A hesitation. Why was he hesitating? He never hesitated. His right index finger picked lightly at the trigger, and his hand began to shake. He couldn't. Why couldn't he? He should pull the trigger by all rights, she was a traitor now, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. He slowly lowered his hand and opted instead to glare right back into those amber eyes that he had grown accustomed to. She could make her own choices now. They were both 17 now, they both had a year to grow together, they both had made their choices. Blake then clutched her heart as she saw Naruto lower Eclipse, and she bit down on her lower lip. Something inside of her was aching, something inside of her was in pain, something inside of her was bringing her to tears at having to abandon Naruto. She knew not what no, she knew what it was, she just didn't want to acknowledge it. She was better off without it. "Goodbye, Blake," Naruto muttered softly as he holstered Eclipse. "Why would she do this, Naruto?" asked a bewildered Adam. "I have no idea, but one thing's for sure. I will pursue her. She was my partner, so she's my responsibility. She's a secondary priority now, you know that." Yeah, Naruto sighed. "We need to deal with her now. The queen has revealed herself." Chapter 3, Burning Gold and Tasting Ice Cream. "Something big must be coming," the one and only Junior Shiong muttered as he poured a shot of whiskey for the two people sitting at the bar in front of him. "With the both of you in the same spot, she must have something planned. Queen bitch wishes it was her plan," snorted Roman Torchwick as he slammed back his shot. "The mastermind is none other than my companion here. Glorifying me already, Roman?" Naruto chuckled as he also threw back his shot. "That was rather quick. You're a vast improvement over Queen Bitch, kid. I'd sooner follow you than her. Damn bitch is downright creepy, with her glowing clothes and shit. And the fireballs. Someone called the fire marshal. God damn it, you're drunk, Roman? Junior had to stifle his own chuckle, and very proud of it. He slurred as he raised his empty shot glass and drank the invisible liquid that only he could see. And to answer your question, Junior, I may or may not have a few tricks up my sleeve, Naruto said after throwing back the next shot that Junior had just poured for him. My information network is yours, as always, Naruto. Junior then reached into one of his pants pockets to pull out his scroll. In fact, I may have something here that may be beneficial. Is this what I think it is? Asked our blonde faunus as he scrolled through the list of people that Junior had presented him with. A complete list of Beacon Academy's first-year hopefuls, the creme of the crop, plus a VIP list of those who I believe have the highest chance of making it through whatever this year's initiation will be. Junior, you magnificent bastard, I thought you'd like that. Free of charge. Definitely will be useful. Naruto then paused to send the list to his own scroll before handing Junior's back. Hey, slurred a drunken Roman. Someone drank my booze. That someone was you, Torchwick. Groaned Junior. Damn, that sucks. Alright, Roman. Naruto cut in as he motioned for a couple of Junior's men. These gentlemen will be taking you home. Sleep this off, okay? He received no audible reply from Roman, who was hoisted from his barstool and led out of the establishment. Geez, I know I said that we'd be taking it easy tonight, but I think Roman took it a bit too far. Naruto sighed once Roman had been taken care of. Compassion, Naruto? Junior questioned. You're going soft. Hardly. Naruto scoffed. I take care of my people, and Roman has proven to be a loyal supporter. And what about her? She's been competent. Ruthless and driven, much like myself. But she's been constantly trying to find ways to undermine me so she can take control again. I think she's slowly coming around to my way of doing things, however, so until she proves she's unreliable, I'll keep her around. Besides, Naruto then paused to glance to his right at the appearance of a short girl who had pink and brown hair with white highlights among the pink half of her hair and heterochromatic eyes, with one being brown and another being pink. If she and I had never allied, I would have never met Neo here. At the mention of her name, Neo leveled a smile at him. Forever yours, she simply said, her voice silky smooth. She's sort of sworn herself to me, and I find it useful and rather amusing, at times. I was under the impression that she worked directly under Roman. Junior commented as he began cleaning a few glasses. She used to until she met me. Ever since then, she's not left my side. Despite my uneasiness about her swearing herself to me, I'd not asked for a better companion. She's capable, strong, dependable, completely loyal and rather cute. I'm stunning. Neo managed a playful smirk, which was leveled at Naruto once again, and short. Her response was to stick her tongue out at him, and before he could retaliate, she disappeared back into her invisibility illusion. With an annoyed growl, Naruto opened his scroll once again to look over the lists of hunter hopefuls. Junior, you've already looked over the list. It was not a question and Junior knew it, so he merely nodded while cleaning a few more glasses. Any you think I should keep my eyes on? Well, Pirai Nikos of Sanctum is listed on there. You might want to keep tabs on her. Also, yep, there you go. He was about to mention someone else, but Naruto had just scrolled to her file. Why Shni, huh? Naruto mused with a dark smirk as he extended his scroll into its tablet form. The heiress herself, a long way from home? After what I did to her uncle, either John really hates her, or he's drawing you out with bait he thinks you can't ignore. Junior finished with a nod, which probably means that Princess there has no idea that her daddy dearest is using her as bait. You could send Mr. Shni another message or you could use this to your advantage by exposing his manipulations. Which also means I'd have to convince Weiss that I'm not a threat to her when she is acutely aware that I'm probably the biggest threat to her father's company right now. He paused to both sigh and throw back another shot. We'll see how things play out, then I'll move my pieces and show my hand accordingly. Any other interesting prospects that I may have overlooked? Well, there's a rather voluptuous blonde here by the name of Young Xiaolong. Despite her file labeling her as a problem student, she graduated from Signal at the top of her class. A hidden genius, perhaps? Adding her to the VIP list? Yeah. She seems to have potential and I don't want any surprises coming to bite me in the ass because I was too lazy to properly look over their file also. She smells heavily of leather and linens. How do you know that? Junior cast a questioning gaze over to his number one customer/friend. Because she's about to walk through the front doors. Naruto casually mentioned as he threw back yet another shot. Glancing over to the front, Junior's eyes widened when, just as Naruto said, Yang came strutting through. Once the music of the club hit her, she seemed to add an extra bounce to her step and a sway to her hips, and once her eyes landed on the bar, she saw a rather handsome blonde sitting there conversing with the bartender, who was the man she was looking for. She saw her fellow blonde throw back his shot glass, and she had to suppress a sigh when she saw that he had heterochromia, with his right eye being of the deepest black and the left a blue that reminded her of the oceans. She saw that he was a faunus, but she didn't care one bit. On the contrary, she thought his fox ears made him cute, and his whiskers gave him more of a feral appearance, made him seem more wild. Unconsciously, she licked her lips and added a bit more of a sway to her hips as she approached, not attempting to hide the fact that she was checking him out. He was wearing a burnt orange t-shirt which had a stylized swirl pattern in the center of the chest in black, the Uzumaki clan crest, black faded jeans, a utility belt, black steel-toed boots, black fingerless gloves which seemed to be imbued with lightning dust, and a black leather duster which had 2 white bars running vertically down the arms and encircled the wrists, and a silver amulet with a sapphire set in as its centerpiece around his neck. "Junior, I think she's eye-raping me," Naruto said as an aside to the bartender. "Kid, she just mentally dressed and undressed you probably 30 times. Junior sent a smirk towards his friend. "No, you should, don't you dare say it. Get inside her pants tonight." "I said no, you said it yourself, you'd be taking it easy tonight. And this is your definition of easy? Look at it like this, you share a few drinks with her, get her to unwind, get her in a bed, nail her and BM. You have yourself an informant within Beacon and all you had to do was suffer through a one-night stand, and you think that course of action hadn't occurred to me?" Naruto deadpanned. "I'm just saying." Junior shrugged. "Beats having to actually work to get a spy in place when you could just as easily seduce your way into having a willing spy." "Strawberry sunrise, no ice," Yan said as she settled into a stool to Naruto's left. "Oh, and one of those little umbrellas. Lightweight." Naruto snidely chuckled as he tossed back another shot. "How many of those have you had now, kid?" Junior quirked an eyebrow. "I lost count." "Not drunk yet. Then I'll have what he's having." Yan tossed the smirk over to her fellow blonde. "Suit yourself." Junior shrugged as he took out another shot glass and slid it over to Yang. "Allow me," Naruto offered as he took his bottle of whiskey and poured a generous amount into Yang's glass. "Such a gentleman." She giggled as she threw back the shot glass. "So few of them left in today's time. Guilty as charged." Naruto returned her smirk. "Let me guess why you're here, Blondie." Junior began. "Which one?" Both Naruto and Yang asked in unison. "The one that has a rack." "That'd be me," Yang said, a slight frown marring her features at the crude way Junior said it. "My guess is that you need information, and you came here in hopes that I'd be able to shed some light onto whatever you need, correct? So far, yeah? Then let's hear it. I'm looking for this person." She paused to pull up a picture of the person on her scroll. "Seen her before? She's after Raven, then?" Naruto mused to himself. "This could be trouble. If she knows who Raven is and is looking for her, then oh Raven, this must be why you tried to kill me. You're scared that I'd eventually get involved with your daughter, Miss Xiaolong here. Well, as they say, karma is a bitch. Sorry, Blondie, never seen her before." Junior responded with a negative shake of the head. "What about you, Whiskers?" Yang asked, turning to Naruto. "Can't say that I recognize her." Naruto lied. "Sorry, damn." She hissed as she poured herself another shot and promptly drank it. "Yang Xiaolong, by the way," she said, turning towards Naruto once again. "Minato Namikaze." Naruto lied once again by using his dad's name, then saluted her with his now full shot glass and hammered back said shot. "And now I think I'm feeling something." And all it took was 3/4 of a bottle. Junior sarcastically added with a smirk. Then, Mr. Namikaze Yang purred as she rose from her stool. "Would you care to dance? Club music and a good buzz go well together in my experience. As long as the company's good, then I'm down." Naruto stood from his stool also, his duster moving out of the way to give her a glimpse of 2 polished silver hilt-like objects hanging on either side of his belt. But her attention was stolen by the blonde once again when he led her to the dance floor. Junior was about to say something snide, but a look from Naruto shut him up. "All part of the plan, Yang. You will be the catalyst for plenty of things to come, and I will make sure you're wrapped tightly around my fingers. Karma is definitely a bitch, Raven, and you will soon learn." This was Naruto's dark thoughts as he and Yang began to lose themselves into the rhythmic beats of the music. Time seemed to blur into the background for the pair of blondes as the music took them on a figurative journey. Their eyes began to entrance each other, Lilac innocently teasing Cerulean and Onyx, and the Lilac was blissfully unaware of the pure malice behind the mismatched eyes. In his head, drowned out by the thrumming of the music, Naruto could hear Kurama's approving and encouraging laughs. "Manipulative bastard." Kurama laughed. "I dare say I like this new persona of yours, Kit. You'd make a natural kitsune if you weren't a ningen, human, already." He paused to think about his wording, then began laughing hysterically again. "Never mind, you already are a kitsune. Ears and everything." Naruto then let out a groan that was thankfully drowned out by the music as he cut the connection to his oversized furry tenant. Despite his intentions, Naruto was really enjoying himself. It had been a long time since he had time to cut loose like this, and it felt good. He could tell that Yan was feeling it as well, evident when they began to dance closer than they were previously. His hands moved to rest on her hips as she threw a glance over her left shoulder as she began to lightly grind on him. Things were quickly heating up for the pair of blondes and the dancing was getting heavy and Neo's temper was getting the best of her. Touching Naru, she growled within her illusion. "My Naru." As she was about to break her illusion and step in, Naruto's gaze caught her and her previous scowl turned into a smile when she realized that he was planning this out. That Yan was playing nicely into his hands, as a mere pawn should dance to its king's tune. Yan was putty in his hands at this point. All that was left was to pull the trigger, and she was his. All according to plan, Naruto mused once again with an outward smirk that went unnoticed by Yang. Checkmate, Naruto-kun! Echoed someone's voice within Naruto's subconscious, a voice that froze all actions he would have taken. As Sakura-chan, he breathed out with widened eyes. Minato Yang let out a breathy moan as she turned into him, linking her hands behind his head, their breaths lingering with each other. Naruto-kun! Mina, Naruto-kun! I can't! Naruto declared as he pushed Yang off of him and made for the exit. Hey, pay your damn tab next time! Junior called after him. And Minato. Yang also called after him, a blush still tinting her cheeks as she trailed behind him. He was nowhere to be found. He had just disappeared. He had disappeared and left her standing there, immensely worried about him. Minato, with Naruto, same time, why can you not leave me alone? Naruto raged at seemingly nothing as he stood atop the roof of a nearby building, out of earshot of any passers-by below. Have you not made me suffer enough? Leave me be, Naruto-kun! Echoed Sakura's voice once again. Shut up! Naruto clenched his eyes shut. Shut up, shut up, shut up, Naruto-kun! I said shut the fuck up. His eyes sprang open and his right eye had morphed into the sharingan, its 3 tomos spinning rapidly as it adjusted to the ethereal specter that was Sakura's ghost, then morphed into its mangekyou form as the previously hazy image of the specter cleared up. Until the day you die, Naruto-kun. You will always be mine and mine alone, spoke the ghost. That vow ended when you died and our world was sent to oblivion. I am not the same man you fell in love with and I am not your Hokage anymore. By this point, Naruto was raging at the spirit in his old language of Japanese. You are nothing to me now except another memory that needs to burn with the rest of our world. Now be gone. With a spike of chakra and but a gaze from his mangekyou sharingan, Naruto banished the specter of his dead girlfriend. The mangekyou then gave way for its base 3 tomo mode, which in turn dissipated into the onyx black of his right eye. He was out of breath, his legs were suddenly weak and the floor looked like a comfortable place to land at the moment. He did not want to see Sakura again, she was a memory he wanted to forget, and seeing her again sapped his will and his resolve. He was suddenly falling towards the floor. He didn't try to stop it, he just wanted to lay down a while, let the world drift away as he drifted to sleep. He just wanted a quick rest. Why had he not hit the floor yet? Why did he feel a pair of arms encircling him? Forever yours. A voice he recognized whispered into his ear. Naruto managed to say as their heterochromatic eyes locked. Forever yours. She simply repeated herself, her tone and resolve not slipping in the slightest. Forever yours. Naruto managed a small smile as he regained his footing and wrapped her up into his own hug. A mutual promise between 2 broken souls, right? Broken no more. Neo shook her head. Together. We're complete. Naruto-kun. Sakura's voice began to echo once again. Yeah, he then brushed a stray hair out of Neo's face, which made her giggle. We complete each other together, we're not broken anymore. There was no one around, the moon hung high in the air, it was quiet but most importantly, there was no one around. And that's what sealed the deal for them. After brushing another strand of hair from her face, Naruto closed the distance between them in a soft kiss to which Neo very greedily accepted, as she felt like this kiss was ridding him of whatever infection that other blonde harlot had given him. It was a soft kiss, but Neo was desperate, and that made the kiss turn hungry. Naruto felt how ferocious she was getting, but he didn't mind. He returned the ferocity in kind which enticed a throaty moan from his girlfriend. Soon enough, they parted with a thin trail of saliva connecting them. Blonde girl, she pouted cutely. All part of the plan, Neo. Naruto reassured her with another peck on the lips. No one will ever replace you. No one. Blake, that one name gave him pause. He was no fool. He knew full well that he and Blake fell in love with each other before her betrayal. If he was being honest, her betrayal wasn't something he didn't see coming. He knew Blake was going to run. It was something he planned on happening, but what he didn't plan on was his emotions getting in the way once she actually did betray. He had someone else now, though. He had Neo, who was one of the most amazing women he had ever met, and he knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that he loved her. But Blake was the first person he fell truly in love with after Sakura died and he was thrown from his world, and if he were being completely honest with himself, he still loved her, and he knew that she still loved him. Which led into the next problem he had to overcome. Blake was attending Beacon, she was one of the hopefuls. What was he going to do? Confront her? Convert her? Kill her? Those thoughts were better left for later as Neo saw the far-off look in his eyes and lightly nudged him, a quizzical look marring her features. Even Blake. Naruto finally answered with a reassuring smile. I love you, Neo, and nothing will ever change that. Show me. She challenged with a glint in her eye. Naruto's eyes reflected that same glint, and in an instant they both disappeared off of the rooftop in a flash of yellow, instantly reappearing out of the Horatian in their apartment. She had already worked him out of his duster, and resumed the lip lock while one of her hands went to work undoing his belt. Her jacket had been discarded, as had her necklaces, and he was currently working on her corset. Meanwhile, next door to them, the door opened and a very frustrated Yang flopped onto her bed. Nothing, sis? Queried one other than Ruby Rose as she peeked over the edge of a book she was reading. Nothing save for a rather handsome boy running out on me. Yang groaned as she shrugged herself out of her jacket, then walked into the bathroom to change into her pajamas. Dad wouldn't approve of you chasing after every guy you see, you know. Since when did you become a daddy's girl? I seem to remember a time where you were just as rebellious as me, the blonde of the two sisters quipped as she once again collapsed onto her bed with a sigh. It was just a phase. Ruby blushed as she shut her book and regarded her older sister at about the same time that a series of rather loud passion-filled moans echoed from the opposite room. Yang, what's that noise? What noise? Yang was very nearly asleep. Sounds like a girl. Huh, from the room beside us, Yang. It's a girl. The moans began to pick up in pace and volume, and this was what sent Yang into action. Cover your ears, Ruby, Yang demanded as she crossed the few odd feet between their beds, tackled her little sister into the mattress and clamped her hands around the redhead's ears. You don't need to hear this. Why, Yang? Ruby protested. Get off of me. Crushing me. The moans soon turned into screams of nothing but pleasure, and this continued on for about a half hour before Yang had to clamp her hands even tighter around Ruby's ears. Naruto. The voice of the girl screamed out in what Yang figured to be a very, very satisfying and powerful orgasm. Damn, she chuckled before she was pushed to the side of the bed by a madly blushing Ruby. What's the matter, Rubes? You're almost as red as your hair. Why your melons were in my face that entire time? Ruby stuttered out. I tried to tell you, but you zoned out. I had to endure being smothered by my own sister's melons. They're called Ruby. Yang sent a teasing smirk to her sister as she gently cupped hers into her hands. And one day, you'll have a beautiful set of these puppies, just like your dear old sister. Ya. Ruby whined out as she took it upon herself to clamp her own hands around her ears. I don't want to hear this. Good night, Ruby, Yang said in a sing-song tone as she turned the lights off in their room, hopefully to get a good night's rest. Yes. 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 Yes, they did not. Chapter 4, We Meet Again. You know, Naruto sighed as he pinched the bridge of his nose as the airship he was on lurched a bit. I'm starting to regret bringing you along. Hey. The person beside him raised his hands in defense. You were bound to come begging me for help at some point. Can't leave your partner out of the loop here, can you? Blake was my partner. You were her replacement. A headache was now starting to form, and I made a damn good replacement, if I do say so myself. I swear to Almighty God, Frost. Speaking of Blake, Frost's demeanor changed minutely from jovial to serious, befitting the topic. What are we going to do if we find her? Leave her to me. She may not know it yet, but she's to play a part in my plans. So just take a back seat when and if we find her. Still can't believe you're actually gonna infiltrate Beacon yourself. I mean, I know that old man accepted you, unknowing of your alias, but still this is crazy even by my standards. Yes, both Naruto and Frost were on the way to Beacon via an airship. Naruto had been personally evaluated and invited to attend by Ojpin himself, whereas Frost had applied and was accepted after his not-so-legit file was looked over. Thankfully, his forged documents passed inspection and he was accepted without any difficulty. Speaking of Frost, he was a man who stood at an equal height to Naruto at 5 feet 10 inches and was an equal age at 17. Also a snow fox faunus and a member of the White Fang, most of their fellows considered them brothers, taking into account their similar stature and build, maybe also the fact that Frost had bleached white hair that seemed to be just as spiky as Naruto's, complete with a pair of white fox ears atop his crown. He had slightly pale skin, icy blue eyes and 2 scars, a vertical one that ran down his chin and a horizontal one which went across his left cheek towards his chin. His attire consisted of a simple short-sleeved white muscle shirt, black combat pants, a black leather utility belt which had 2 holsters on either side, white steel-toed boots that had black soles and laces, black fingerless gloves, a white leather jacket which was zipped up and had an image of a stylized black saber-toothed tiger upon its back. Upon both of his ears were a pair of diamond studs and around his neck hung an amulet similar to Naruto's, but instead of a sapphire, a diamond was its centerpiece. Within the 2 holsters were a pair of silver semi-automatic pistols that, if he were to transform them, would turn into a pair of silver trench knives. If it's crazy to you, then I must be doing something right. Naruto shot a smirk over to his best friend. You are doing something right. You landed a chick as hot as that Neo girl. Granted, she's a human, but she's hot for a human. Good on you, I say. Meanwhile you're content with a life full of one-night stands and a future full of wondering if you're a dad? Pfft, Frost scoffed. Life's way too short for regrets, so I say live it up while you can. I still remember when Blake shot you down that one time. Hey. He shrugged. I had to give it a shot. Speaking of one-night stands, Naruto began as he spotted a familiar blonde. Huh. Frost followed Naruto's line of sight to where she was standing. You. And her? What? Oh. No. Well, I mean, it very nearly did happen, but a light blush made its way to Naruto's cheeks to his own dismay. And does Neo know about this? Neo was there when it nearly happened. Horn dog. Look who's fucking talking. Naruto snapped. You're so easy to fuck with, bro. Frost smirked. And Minato? Yang called out to Naruto in surprise as she all but plowed through a short redhead. Yang. Naruto inclined his head in a slight bow. Fancy seeing you here of all places. What are you doing here? And why did you run out on our dance last week? Minato? Seriously? Frost deadpanned. That's the best you could come up with. I was borderline drunk, cut me some slack. Naruto snapped at Frost before turning his attention back to Yang. It seems that last week, I had a bit too much to drink and in my inebriated state, I might or might not have called myself by my father's name. Then what's your real name? Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. He extended his hand towards the blonde brawler. A pleasure to make your reacquaintance, Yang. Pleasure's still all mine, Whiskers. Yang had to stop herself from purring as she shook his hand. Who's your friend? Frost Schwartz. Frost introduced himself and Mock bowed. I'm this idiot's longtime friend and also the more handsome of our duo. I don't know. Yang tapped a playful finger against her chin. Whiskers here's a natural blonde and he has those whisker marks. He's also taken. Huh, about that, Frost Naruto began, his attention turned to his partner in crime. Nicole and I are no longer involved. He sent a stare to his fellow faunus which screamed play along. We had a pretty big fight recently over which academy I'd be attending. She wanted to go to Haven while I settled on Beacon. Needless to say, we've gone our separate ways. Ah. Damn. Frost feigned disappointment. You two really did look good together. So you're back on the market, eh? Yang asked while unconsciously licking her lips. I guess I am. Naruto concluded with a thoughtful look on his face before a short red figure shifted behind Yang. Yang? There's a tiny red blob behind you. Care to explain? This Yang began while dragging the redhead out so she was standing in front of her. Is my baby sister. Ruby, this is Naruto, the handsome blonde I mentioned who ran out on me. You're here to become a huntsman as well? Ruby asked after a hesitation. That's the plan. Naruto confirmed with a nod. I was handpicked by Ajin himself to join, whereas Frost here had to put in an application. Still pissed about that, Frost faked anger for the sake of their charade. You can't be more than 15, Ruby. Naruto noted, opting to ignore his friend. What did you do to get bumped up 2 years? I kinda stopped a dust shop from being robbed. So, it was her that tore through Roman's men. She's rather unassuming, but for her to get the drop on not only Roman, but Cinder as well, I need to keep a close eye on her. A little girl beat a bunch of grown men? Frost asked, a laugh tugging at his voice to hide his own shock. That's what I said. Yang chimed in. Though in my sister's own defense, she's anything but ordinary. Before Naruto could respond, the hologram projectors on board the airship lit up to reveal the image of a blonde woman who looked like she was into the librarian fetish fuel, though Naruto recognized her as Glinda Goodwitch. The image of the woman opened its mouth to speak, but instead began to flicker in and out a couple times before disappearing completely, causing a wave of murmurs to sound throughout the airship. In place of the previous image of Glinda came another image of a man who was wearing a long-sleeved black shirt with red highlights here, and there underneath a deep silver breastplate which also had red highlights. Simple black pants were tucked into a pair of deep red knee-high leather boots, which were reinforced with silver armor over the knees and shins. Black gloves covered his hands and were covered at the wrist and forearm by a pair of silver bracers which shared in the red highlights of the breastplate and reinforced knuckles. Around his waist sat a utility belt which had a silver hourglass as its belt buckle, and a polished black steel object hanging from one of the loops by his left hip which looked like the hilt of some weapon, but there was no visible blade attached to it. But the most striking feature about this man was what he wore over his face to obscure his identity. It was made from a black steel material which held the red highlights of the rest of his armor, and it seemed to cover his entire head. It became angular, and a bit jagged as it reached the area where his mouth was supposed to be, and it continued to angle down to form a pseudochin. A straight line of what looked to be reinforced glass made up a visor which no one could see through, as it seemed to be pitch black in color. And this entire ensemble was topped off by a black hooded cloak which was draped over his shoulders and clasped together by a silver chain, and he currently had the hood pulled up. As soon as the image of this man popped into view, the entire airship went quiet as the black-clad man linked his arms behind his back. People of Remnant, the figure began in a deep synthetic voice that was undoubtedly thanks to his mask. Your kingdoms have tried to suppress knowledge about me, and they have failed. They don't want you to know about me, about who and what I am. I have always been here, but I choose now to reveal myself to you, the general populace. Who is this guy? Yang asked while giving the figure a once-over. Naruto. His weapon looks similar to yours, Ruby noted as she stared at the black hilt and compared it to Naruto's silver variants. Because I helped him build it. Naruto answered while staring at the figure in anger. Well, it was fake anger, but he had to be convincing. Before Ruby could ask who the figure was, she got her answer when the hologram spoke up once again. My name is irrelevant, but if you must label me, you all may call me Spectre. I am that which has been in the shadows. I am that which is the cause of everything that has occurred in recent times. I am the puppeteer pulling the strings, and recently, there have been efforts to try and cut my strings. So I come here before you all today, in the flesh, with a warning and a promise. I first warn the kingdoms to stay out of my way, lest there be consequences for their actions, and my promise goes to the hunter academies of the world. Independence will be yours. Independence will be everyone's. Independence? Queried Frost in fake confusion. Independence from what? This guy's off his rocker. Independence from a corrupt system that has outlived its purpose. The kingdoms will fall and be rebuilt from the ground up. That is my promise and my warning. Spectre continued, all that's left to be seen is if my warnings will go unheeded. For the sake of Remnant, let us hope that they don't. My name is Spectre, and this has been a message to the people of Remnant. With that, the hologram of Spectre disappeared from the screen, which went blank and powered down. Great. Yang scoffed. We get a pep talk from some crazy terrorist on our first day. Totally looking forward to this year already. He's not wrong, Naruto admitted, gaining 2 confused stares from the sisters. I can sympathize with what he said because of these. He then motioned to his fox ears and a look of realization found its way onto Yang and Ruby's faces. If you blame me for wanting change, then all I have to say is try living with these things for one day, and then tell me it doesn't change you. Ye Yang began after clearing her throat. I can see why. It's just that with the way that Spectre guy was talking, he might just make things worse while trying to make it better. So, there's really a brain underneath all that blonde fuzz? Naruto amusedly asked. Shut up. She returned with a playful punch to the arm. Well, look what the Beowulf dragged in. Called out another voice just as the airship lurched, signaling its landing. Merc. Naruto greeted him with a fist bump. You and M actually made it. Please, for the love of Dust Emerald began with a facepalm. Don't you two start up. Other friends of yours, Whiskers? Yang asked. Yep. Yang, meet Mercury Black and Emerald Sustrai. Merc M, this is Yang Xiaolong and her sister Ruby Rose. Be careful of the short one, she stopped a dust robbery. Naruto finished his sentence with subtle emphasis and a light glare. I heard about that. Mercury started with a smirk. I also heard it was Roman Torchwick who got owned. Nice job, Shorty. I am not short. Ruby pouted as the group of 6 began to disembark from the airship together. But you're not tall either. Frost added to the conversation. Therefore you're short. Naruto concluded. Keep drinking your milk, Rubes. You'll grow up someday. Yang decided to tease her sister with a couple of pats to the head. I'll be taller than you all one day, Ruby declared dramatically. I swear it. She decided to finish her dramatic declaration with an equally dramatic spin, only she ended up running into someone's luggage, which resulted in a rainbow of colors to erupt from just one suitcase. Watch where you're going. The owner of the luggage admonished the young Rose. I'm sorry. Ruby immediately apologized as she stood up straight into a cloud of lingering dust. Yang, your sister's about to explode. Naruto deadpanned as he turned to find Yang missing. She has the right idea, Naruto Mercury said as he began walking away. Cheese it. Frost declared as he shot off in the direction of the amphitheater, followed closely by Mercury, Naruto and lastly Emerald. A muffled explosion then resounded throughout the courtyard, which made the 4 teens cringe a bit as they arrived in the amphitheater. Poor girl. Emerald shook her head. Getting involved like she did? Shame too. She seemed pretty nice. Mercury then shrugged. Ah well, what can you do? Maybe we'll get lucky and she'll die during whatever our initiation will be. Frost offered. Save one of us the trouble of offing her, one thing at a time. Naruto counseled his group. Either way, she'll be of use to us, although it is true she'd be of more use to us as a corpse. I'll make it quick. Emerald declared. No. Naruto then adopted a thinking pose. Let her live for now. She foiled Roman, which has piqued my interest in her. Cinder may want her dead, but I'm belaying whatever order she's sure to have given you too. I know that look, Naru. Frost said. You have a plan, don't you? A reckless one, as it all depends on the initiation as a whole. If things go the way I think they will, it's checkmate for me in this instance. And as for the overall gain? Emerald asked. If I achieve checkmate here, then in the overall game I've just moved up one of my pawns. It will slightly further our plans, but it's a necessary throwaway move which will either set future events up for me or be a sacrifice. And here's the man of the hour. Mercury sarcastically stated as Ojpin and Glinda took their positions on stage. Beacon Ballroom, some time later. Would you 3 stop trying to impress the girls? Emerald sighed in exasperation. There before her were Naruto, Mercury and Frost dressed in their pajamas. Naruto was wearing a rust-orange tank top that had the Uzumaki clan swirl sewed in the center of the front and some black lounge pants. Mercury was sporting a black tank top and some gray lounge shorts, and Frost had on a white t-shirt and some simple black pants. We could say the same about you, M. Mercury shot back. You're practically screaming, hey, I'm single and desperate, with what you have on right now. Frost added to the teasing, then let out a wolf whistle. Emerald was wearing a frame-fitting green tank top which was hugging her rather impressive frame perfectly, and dark gray lounge shorts, which were slightly baggy. I swear, if either of you 3 start staring at my tits, she warned in a deadpan tone. Well, they're kinda out there, M. Naruto reasoned and was rewarded with a pillow being thrown at his face. Shut up. She fired back at him with a light blush dusting her cheeks. Oh! Frost exclaimed. Merc and I can't stare, but he can? Neo's gonna love this, Merc snickered. Great. First M starts checking me out, and now young Naruto sighed in fake exasperation as he noticed Yang's not-so-subtle eyes roaming over him once again. What is a man to do when he has garnered the attention of multiple girls? Woe is me for not having a solution, he then mock-stretched. which in turn made his tank top ride up a bit, exposing just the teasing glance of his six-pack underneath. In one instant, it seemed like over a dozen thunks were heard, and those dozen thunks were the dozen or so girls who had fainted from just a tiny glimpse, though Yang had fared well enough. But Emerald? Holy shit! Frost exclaimed. You good? What the hell? Naruto asked in bewilderment as he rounded upon to see her slumped against the wall she was previously sitting against with a thin trail of blood streaming out of her right nostril and a glazed, far-off look in her eyes. The fuck happened? Mercury asked as he bent down to check her over around the time that Frost's stunned face morphed into one of barely contained laughter. Naru! He managed to bite out. Naru, sniff at the air. Hesitantly doing as he was told, Naruto tilted his head up slightly and took in one solid sniff of the air, and his eyes widened considerably upon recognizing the scent of a woman's arousal. She just was all he was able to say before a crippling smile spread across his face, and he joined Frost in uncontrollable laughter. The hell you two laughing about? Mercury barked at them. She. Frost tried to still his laughter, but failed. She creamed herself into shock. Naruto finished for his friend as he, too, began laughing again. Ugh! Mercury exclaimed in disgust as it clicked with him. Really? Having a shock-inducing orgasm because of a sneak peek you'll never see again? Damn! His statement only served to throw Naruto and Frost into another bout of uncontrolled laughter, as M's problem had now been utterly screamed to the entire ballroom. What's all the commotion out here? Asked a particular raven-haired beauty as she stepped back into the ballroom from the bathroom. Blake, try as she may, couldn't get a good view of whatever was happening, so with a shrug, she took her place at her sleeping bag once again and cracked open the book she was previously reading. A man with two souls. No matter how many times I read that statement, I always think of her. Inner muse began. No. I can't think about him. I left him behind. I severed all ties with him. He's gone, Blake, so you'd best forget about him. But then again, how can someone easily forget their first love? Shaking herself free of her inner musings, she immersed herself into the book once again, failing to notice a pair of blue and black eyes land on her form as he had finally recovered from his laughing fit. Next morning, Beacon Cliffs. These things are totally catapults, Frost stated as he hopped up and down on the platform. 100 lean says I fly the farthest. Open challenge, he then declared to the rest of the group. I'll take that bet, Naruto declared from somewhere near the end of the row. Same here, Yang intoned. Ditto. Mercury volunteered himself for the bet. If you all are quite finished? Glinda snapped and all fell silent. Thank you, she huffed. For years you have trained to become warriors, Ajban began, eyeing Naruto, then Frost and lastly Blake. And today, your abilities will be evaluated in the Emerald Forest. Your dream come true, Mercury blurted out. Naruto's finally gonna dive into your bush. Shut up, asshole. Emerald barked at him from somewhere near the front of the line. No, it's impossible. Blake began to mentally panic upon hearing Naruto's name. He can't have tracked me here. But what if he has? What if he's really here? Hey, Frost added. She daydreamed that shit last night, and lost a good pair of panties. Doesn't mean it won't really happen. Like right now. Mercury returned with a laugh. Don't worry, I'll be gentle with your bush. Naruto finally chided as he began to laugh as well. He's here, no mistaking that voice. He's here. A sudden chill then ran through Blake's spine as her imagination began to race through each and every likely scenario that could unfold once they were launched into the forest. Before long, Ashban had finished his speech and one by one, the hopefuls were shot off into the forest below. Mercury was the first one from Naruto's group to be launched, then Frost, then Emerald, and lastly Naruto himself was launched. Once airborne, Naruto let out a whoop and performed a series of aerobatics just to show off for the people who were still flying through the air. Slowly but surely, he was beginning to drift downwards into the trees, but with his aura, the many small branches merely snapped as he passed through them until he came upon a rather large branch jutting into his flight path. With a smirk, Naruto took hold of the polished silver hilt-like object upon his right hip with his right hand and detached it from its magnetized slot. Mere feet from impact, his smirk spread as a snap-hissing sound filled the air and a red blade of condensed energy dust sprang forth from the emitter, and with one fluid swing, the branch had been cut, and Naruto continued on with his weapon still in hand. After gracefully leaping off of a couple more tree branches to regain his bearings, Naruto's instincts as a shinobi took over and he tree-hopped his way through the forest. You're feeling nostalgic, kid? Kurama's voice rumbled in Naruto's head. Yeah, I haven't done this in a long time, Kurama. I think I've found my favorite place in this world. The Emerald Forest. Bah, this is turning me soft. Heads up or down, in this case. Below you, kid. I know. Naruto outwardly acknowledged his Biju's warning, and as soon as he landed on the branch in front of him, he shot downward towards the rapidly approaching ground at breakneck speed until at the last second, he righted himself in the air and swung down with his crimson blade, landing in a crouch after effectively bisecting a rather nasty Alpha Ursa from head to toe. With a flourish of his blade, Naruto deactivated it, and the crimson glow dissipated as its source returned into the hilt, and with a turn. Hello, Blake, Naruto calmly said as he turned and their eyes locked for the first time in a little over a few months. Fancy meeting you here. And Naruto Blake hesitated, her visibly shaking hand lifting up to caress the hilt of Gamble's shroud. I guess this makes us partners, huh? He asked, a teasing smirk marring his features. Just like old times. What are you doing here? She asked, trying to hide the tremble of both her voice and hand. Just stopped by to see how you were doing is all. Oh, and I may or may not be attending Beacon now. He shrugged. You seem to be right as rain. That's good, Blake. It's good that you've been taking care of yourself. Stop joking, she began to growl. There's no way Ashpin would let someone like you into his academy. Someone like me? Naruto queried as he took a single step towards her, a motion she mirrored, though as a step back. What do you mean by that, Blake? A murderer? A sociopathic killer who could give less than a damn about who or what he pulls the trigger on. I seem to recall your ledger dripping with blood as well, Blake. Naruto countered as he took another step. We're in the same boat, yet Ashpin let you in. By your logic, he should have thrown us both to the Beowulfs. Or does he not know of the things you've done for the White Fang? Because he sure knew about my past. Your true past? Or the past you allowed him to see? She then began to unsheath Gamble's shroud as he took yet another step. Stay away, you're terrified. Naruto noted in slight amusement with a chuckle. You think I've been sent here to kill you? That's the only reason why you'd be here. She barked. Adam wants me dead, so he sent you, his best agent, to take care of the loose ends. Or maybe you volunteered because you felt like it was your duty to hunt me down as I was your partner, therefore your responsibility. True, that you were and still are my responsibility, Naruto conceded that point. But I haven't been sent here to kill you. If I were. Suddenly, in the literal blink of an eye, Naruto was standing before her with a hilt in his left hand this time, a silver blade protruding from the hilt, and piercing right through a Beowulf which had snuck upon her while she was distracted. I would have let this monstrosity do my job for me. Naruto finished as he tore the energy blade out of the grim, and deactivated the blade. Trust me now. He leveled his gaze at her. What happened? She asked. Something must have happened for you to just up and leave. What was it? She narrowed her eyes at him. Shortly after you left, a woman came to us proposing a partnership. Naruto recited the tale. Adam and I both refused her on the spot. A few days later, she returns and attacks our camp, bringing with her briefcases full of dust, lean and an ultimatum, join or die. Adam chose to join while I had to fight my way out of there. I was betrayed, Blake. Betrayed by the very person I had considered a brother, and by the group I thought of as an extended family. I didn't know where else to turn, and I was lost for a time before I eventually found Frost. He and I then eventually came to a decision, apply to a hunter academy. And Ashpin accepted you both after hearing of what you two went through. Blake concluded. We offered our knowledge of the inner workings of the White Fang in return for the opportunity to become huntsmen ourselves. Naruto nodded. Upon seeing Blake go into deep thought, Naruto had to suppress a smirk, as she seemed to buy into his fake story. Amber eyes caught blue and black one more time, and the edginess of those yellow orbs was lost in favor of acceptance, and a genuine smile spread across Blake's face. Good to be your partner again, Naruto. She beamed. Hey, I didn't even know you were attending until last night. So he was interrupted by his new/old partner tackling him into a hug. A very intimate hug, at that. Thank you? She breathed. Thank you for realizing you were being played. Hey, he cooed as he returned the hug. I promised you once that I'd never change. Sure, I slipped off of my path once, but getting shafted by Adam opened my eyes. Second best thing to ever happen to me. And what's the first? She asked in genuine curiosity, as she pulled away from the hug to look at him. Having you for a partner. He smiled, and almost laughed when he saw a heated blush settle upon her cheeks and her bow twitch slightly. Hey, I can still make you blush. Good to know I haven't lost my touch. Shut up, you jerk. A voice ruined the moment. Out of the way, lovebirds. Frost. Came Emerald's voice. Frost. God damn it. Killed the thing already. Out of the brush came an abnormally large Borbotusk, and riding atop it was Frost, who seemed to be having a field day. Nero. Frost called out to the blonde. Stop this asshole. Flip it. One roadblock coming right up. Naruto declared as he focused a bit of his chakra into his right fist and promptly slammed it into the ground, creating a crater in the ground which the Borbotusk fell into. As Frost leaped off of its back, he gave its rear end a good kick so it would land in the crater upside down, which it did. After the Grim landed inside of the crater, Blake snapped into action and drew Gamble's shroud, then dove into the crater and impaled the beast through just as Frost came down with his pistols in their trench knife modes and damn near decapitated the thing. Nice moves as always, kitty. Frost beamed as he holstered his weapons and stood from his crouched position. Good to see you again, Frost. Blake groaned as she pulled Gamble's shroud free and sheathed it upon her back. I told you never call me kitty. Shot down once again. Intoned Naruto from the lip of the crater. Fuck you, Nero. Frost then flipped his friend off as Blake clambered out of the crater. Frost. Emerald raged as she finally emerged from another bush. What part of that clicked in that undersized brain of yours as a good idea? Why walk when you can get a ride? Frost merely shrugged as he leaped out of the crater and joined his other 3 companions. Why? Emerald declared to the heavens with a shaking fist. Why did he have to be my partner? Get used to it, Em. Naruto consoled her with a pat to the shoulder. You get used to it, trust me. Who's the girl, Naruto? Blake asked in a wary tone, oblivious to the fact that she had taken an unconscious step closer to the blonde. Blake, this is Emerald Sustrai. Meet Blake Belladonna. Naruto introduced the pair. Now that introductions are out of the way, we have some relics to find. He then cut off the 2 girls mid-stare, knowing that a rivalry was about to form and he would have none of it. Damn it, you interfered with the catfight. Frost dejectedly whined. Even though Naruto had dragged Blake away from the impending rivalry, that didn't stop the girls from sharing a heated stare down as they strode through the forest. Figurative lightning seemed to connect their gazes. Lightning that wasn't broken until Naruto spoke up. Blake? Hello. He waved a hand in front of her face, which snapped her out of her reverie. Huh, which relic do you want to take? Frost and I can't decide. M's not paying attention and I'd rather ask you instead of anyone else. How about the Black King piece? You love to play chess and black's always been your favorite color besides orange. I was thinking that as well. He nodded as he stepped up and took a Black King piece, an action which Blake mirrored. Frost called out to her. Pick up the damn king already. Fine, fine. Emerald muttered as she joined Frost in picking up the last 2 Black King pieces. Well, shall we escape this valley? Naruto asked, and just at that moment, a Nevermore flew overhead with an agitated squawk. Post haste if we could. He added, I feel bad for the poor sods that have to take that thing on. Frost chuckled as he followed his companions out of the clearing and back into the forest. Eventually, Naruto and company had found a way out of the valley, and once they did, something seemed to click in Emerald's head. Where's Mercury? She asked. Probably got stuck in a tree or something. Frost shrugged. Hopefully, he found a compatible partner. Naruto said. Another 100 lean says it was that young chick. You're on. Naruto took Frost's second bet. Beacon Academy, after initiation, Mercury Black, Ruby Rose, White Shni and Yang Xiaolong, your 4 retrieved the White Knight pieces. Ajban began. Refund that 100 lean, asshole. Frost whispered to Naruto with a snicker. Hey, I did end up getting the farthest. Naruto shot back as he forked over 100 lean to his friend. From this day forward, you will work together as Team RWBY, led by Ruby Rose. He finished as a round of applause erupted from the crowd. Shorty's got some serious skill, it seems. Frost muttered to Naruto, who nodded his agreement. And finally, Naruto Uzumaki, Blake Belladonna, Frost Schwartz, and Emerald Sustrai, you 4 retrieved the Black King pieces. Ajban began once again, pausing only to take a sip of his coffee. From this day onward, you 4 will be working together as Team NBSE, Nebulos, led by Naruto Uzumaki. Hell yeah! Naruto declared with a fist pump. Congratulations, Naruto. Blake congratulated him with a smile and a small giggle. We're doomed. Emerald faked a depressed sigh that was belied by a smile of her own. Drinks are on me tonight. Frost exclaimed. Celebration time. Alright, Team NBSE. Naruto clapped his hands together. Forward. Towards a party somewhere. Even though Naruto was truly happy he got named team leader, he was even happier because of one overarching reason. Checkmate against you, Ajban. Things worked out perfectly, even better than I imagined. You've unknowingly jump-started my plans, and for that I thank you. Spectre is now known throughout Remnant, and I now have an inside track within Beacon itself. Now to just play both sides of the field and move my pieces I foresee another checkmate. You alright, Naruto? Blake asked, breaking him out of his thoughts. Yeah, I'm fine, Blake. He smiled at her. Just fine. Chapter 5. The First Casualties and a Fated Meeting. It was quite amusing, it truly was. Offhandedly chuckling at the randomness of one Nora Valkyrie as she spouted on and on about something that might, or might not have happened. To both her and Rin as he dug into his lunch, he was reflecting upon the first few weeks that he and Frost had been students at Beacon. For the first week or so, he had noted that Weiss had taken exception to Ruby being appointed leader of Team RWBY, so he and the rest of both teams NBC and JNPR had to sit through the rivalry until it had been resolved. Speaking of the 3 teams, they had sort of formed an unofficial circle at the suggestions of both Ruby and Naruto, with John following his fellow team leaders by example. Now, it was a couple of weeks later and seemingly another issue had sprung up, John being bullied. See, Beacon itself was still a school, therefore it was bound to have a resident bully, and this one went by the name of Carden Winchester. Atrocious. Pyrrha spat while looking on at something that was happening. I can't stand people like him. What's going on? Naruto asked as he zoned back into the conversation, then followed Pyrrha's gaze. Oh hell no. He growled out. Carden was currently pulling on the ears of a helpless rabbit faunus girl, laughing as the rest of his team chided him on and hurled racial slurs at the poor girl. That's it. Yang declared as she made to get up, but Naruto stopped her. No, Yang. He advised in the calmest voice he could manage, then motioned to the huntsman who was monitoring the dining hall. See him? He's supposed to be monitoring us for shit like that. Then why isn't he doing anything? She asked. Racism is infectious, it seems. Frost growled as he glared at Carden. Somebody has to do something, though. Ruby chimed in. This isn't right. Who said nobody was going to not step in? Naruto challenged as he rose from his seat, followed by Frost. Come on, Team NBSE. Let's stand up to a bully. Blake was the next to stand up, followed by Emerald, and the four began walking towards the scene. Winchester's dead. Mercury noted as he began eating his lunch once again. Why do you say that, Merc? Asked Yang. I've known Naruto and Frost for a long time. They hate racists. And they're not ones to let bullying go unpunished as well. He then sat his fork down. Might as well settle in and watch the show. What a freak. Carden chuckled as he pulled on her ear once again. Told you guys they were real. Stop it. The girl cried. That hurts. Pull them some more. Russell taunted. Hey. Naruto called out to the team. Dumb, dumber, dumbest and dumbass. He referred to Sky, Russell, Dove and Carden respectively. How about you let her go? It was only a matter of time until the team of freaks would come to defend their own kind. Carden chuckled as he let go of the girl and turned his attention to the two other faunas in front of him, his eyes falling on Emerald then Blake. Must be hard living with a bunch of animals. You two okay? Keep your pity to yourself. Emerald scoffed. We don't accept it from racist pigs such as yourself. So, you're a supporter of these flea bags? Carden narrowed his eyes. I don't know what's worse, these wastes of skin or traitorous whores like you two who hate their own kind. Step into the arena with one of these animals, Winchester. Naruto growled as he clenched his fists. Or are you just all bark and no bite? Wanna show your vagina to the whole lunchroom, bitch? Shut the fuck up, animal. Carden rounded on Naruto with a snarl. The human is speaking and you will zip your goddamn lip while the human is speaking. The next thing Carden felt was a fist being rammed into his jaw. Recoiling back, his eyes wide, he stared at Naruto in disbelief. Naruto took a step towards the boy. Fight back, Winchester. Accept my challenge. Or else I'll just beat you to a pulp right here, right now. It'd be worth getting written up. It'd be worth getting expelled to hand your asses to you. Frost growled as he let his claws grow out. Make the first move, I dare ya. Fine. Bellowed Carden. The arena it is. We'll teach you animals your places. Hold on, boys. The huntsman finally stepped in. The first blow was struck outside of the arena. Mr. Uzumaki, you're being written up. The match won't take place. Heh. Carden chuckled, a smug look on his face. Too bad, throw rug. I think not. Came Ashbin's voice as he stepped into the dining hall. I'll allow this. It's within Mr. Uzumaki's right to challenge his fellow hunters to duels. But the huntsman began, but faltered. Yes, sir, like I said. Mercury sighed as he stood. Carden's dead. Should have let me know sooner that we could duel anyone. Yang growled in annoyance. Maybe Professor Ashbin's doing this just to annoy you, Yang. Weiss teased her teammate. Doing a damn fine job of it, too. She muttered as what appeared to be the entire dining hall collectively made their way into the arena. This duel is a matter of personal honor. Carden Winchester stands challenged by Naruto Uzumaki. The huntsman from before began as everyone began to settle into the stands. As this was a challenge from one team leader to another, both teams are involved and must stand by their respective leaders in this conflict. Standard tournament rules apply. The last team standing wins. What's your game, Uzumaki? Carden asked as he withdrew his mace. Trying to prove your team's competency? Nope. Naruto shook his head. Just trying to whip a team full of racist assholes back into shape. Please. Carden scoffed. We all know that you're trying to legitimize your team here. I've seen you in the few sparring classes we've had. You're the sole reason why your team is so highly regarded. Without you, they'd easily be the weakest team here. You know what, Carden? Naruto asked after a short pause. I'm gonna sit this one out. If what you say is true, then there's no way Team NBSE can win without me. Wait, what? Frost, you take over from here. Way ahead of you, bro. Frost all but cackled as he withdrew his twin pistols and shifted them into their trench knife forms. Time to clip some wings. 1 second, Frost was standing among his teammates, and the next thing Team Ciardale knew, he was among them, swinging his right trench knife right at Dove's head. Sky would have gone in to help his comrade, but Blake was already upon him in a burst of speed rivaling Frost's, swinging gamble shroud sheathed vertically down onto him. As Frost's opening haymaker connected, Dove was sent flying back first into the far wall of the arena, and Sky was flattened by Blake's fake-out, as she had expertly used her semblance to confuse him and sent him tumbling to the floor face first. Russell, while all of this was going on, seemed dazed and confused, and only took action when Dove peeled himself out of the wall. Dual daggers met with the short sword as the teammates clashed. Russell, what the hell? Dove tried reaching out to his traitorous comrade, but only received a few glancing blows for his trouble. After pushing Russell back, Dove went in for a strong slice, which Russell tanked with his aura and retaliated with a few slices and stabs on his own, which lowered Dove's aura to just above the red zone. After a few more parries from both teammates, they both eventually knocked each other out via simultaneous slices. The buzzer went off as 2 of the 4 members of Team Ciardale fell, with Sky being eliminated by both Blake and Frost at the same time, leaving Carden standing there, confused and properly scared out of his wits. The fight hasn't even been going on for 2 minutes, Winchester. Naruto began as a smirk spread across his face. And yet you're the only one left. Face it, asshole. Frost also smirked. Your team is shit. What the hell? Carden breathed, then gulped. You four are insane. Come, Carden Winchester. Naruto spoke once again as he withdrew the dust saber on his right hip and ignited the red blade with a snap hiss. Let us see who the better team leader is. Each step forward that Naruto took was like a death toll for Carden. He knew he was outmatched, but his pride wasn't allowing him to just give up. So, with a mighty war cry, he charged forward with all the courage he could muster, heaved his mace above his head and sent it crashing down onto the blonde faunus only for Naruto to elegantly sidestep the attack, and just as the mace impacted the ground, he brought his dust saber down onto the weapon and sliced it clean in two. Carden only had time to gape at what had been done to his weapon before a flash of red sent him flying into unconsciousness. After slicing Carden's mace in half, Naruto had brought his blade back up and sliced right through the boy's aura with one hit. You weren't even worthy of my dust sabers. Naruto clicked his tongue. Maybe I should have gone in bare-fisted. You would have lasted longer that way. Winner, Team NBSE. The huntsman's voice filled the silent arena. Soon enough, an applause erupted, and the applause was well-deserved, as Team NBSE unknowingly had beaten Beacon's record for the fastest match. Congratulations are in order for Team NBSE. Ajban's voice quickly silenced the arena. Your team, Mr. Uzumaki, will be entered into our systems as the current holder of the fastest match recorded. Though it was not our intention to take the record, Professor, we humbly accept your decision. Naruto said as he replaced his dust saber onto its magnetic slot on his right hip. We were only trying to defend both our friend and an innocent from bullying and racial assault. A commendable thing to fight for. Ajban nodded. Now, seeing as the challenge is over, everyone please return to your classes or assigned tasks. And would a doctor please check out Team CRDL? Glinda added as she adjusted her glasses. Mr. Uzumaki? Ajban called out to Naruto as he and Team NBSE was about to file out of the arena with the rest of the crowd. Yes, Professor? Naruto turned to face the aged man. A moment in my office, if you please? Of course. He inclined his head in an acquiescing bow, then turned to Frost. Before I go, you might want to tend to Bunny Girl over there. He motioned with his head to the girl in question. Attend to her? Frost raised an eyebrow. Dear thing, Mr. One Night Stands. You think she could be a valuable pawn? Frost leaned in to whisper. I know potential when I see it. Naruto whispered back. She may or may not be a valuable piece, and I'd rather err on the side of caution. Get her under your thumb. You got it, boss. Frost smirked as he sauntered over to the girl. What did you say to Frost? Blake asked. I think the girl we just saved has a thing for him. Naruto shrugged. Trying to set him up is all. He's never going to settle down. She scoffed. He's always been a womanizer. You and I both know that Frost is much more complicated than that, Blake. Naruto lightly admonished his partner, then turned on his heel and tossed a wave over his shoulder. Oz wants to see me. Be good while I'm gone. Like I'm going to be the one to act out. She once again scoffed, and made to leave, then promptly turned on her heel and broke out into a light jog until she caught up with her partner and team leader. Following me, eh? Naruto chuckled. Fine, you can come with me. I'll take responsibility if someone says you should be in class. This is the only time I'm breaking the rules for you. Blake lightly blushed. Don't get used to it. Who cares if we break a couple of rules every now and again? We were born to be rebels. Speak for yourself. She lightly scoffed. I joined our past associates to try and bring order, and you think I joined because I had nothing better to do? He directed a light glare to his partner. Blake, I wanted equality. I wanted peace, and then Adam screws both Frost and I, and we're forced to run. I know. She sighed. I guess I'm just still trying to grasp that you left them. You were right under Adam in the hierarchy. Hell, by the time I left, you two were all but equals when it came to authority. And I didn't abuse my power, Blake. You should know better than anyone. You were the only thing standing between him and me when she paused to take a shaky breath as the memories flooded back. When he started to become possessive of me and jealous of us. There was no us, Blake. Naruto shook his head. According to you, there could never be an us. She bit her lower lip as the words died before they could be said. Does it still stand? He asked as he stopped and rounded on her, so he was standing in front of her. Can there still not be an us? We could die at any moment, Naruto. Blake took in a breath. We're training to become hunters, a profession that has an understandably high mortality rate. My life has been nothing but hell for as long as I can remember, and if something were to happen to you because of me, if something were to happen to you while there was and us, amber orbs tore themselves away from the entrancing cerulean and onyx. You can't keep running, Blake. Naruto softly whispered to her, as he placed his right hand upon her shoulder. Not from your past, not from the White Fang, and not from your feelings. You don't have to run anymore. He firmly stated as he moved his right hand from her shoulder to caress her left cheek. For as long as I live, I'll be your rock. I'll be your port in the storm. You don't have to be afraid with me, Blake, and I'll stay by your side, no matter what comes. Her left hand moved up to desperately grab his right hand, which was still caressing her cheek. You're reminding me just how hard I've fallen for you. We're both crazy, but as long as we're crazy together, then I think it'll all work out. Glad to see you finally admit it. He lightly teased with a smile. Shut up, you jerk. And with nothing left to say, the pair of faunas leaned into one another slowly, tentatively, until finally their lips met, his right hand caressing her cheek, while his left rested upon her right hip, and her arms locked themselves behind his head. Their eyes were closed, and she had stepped fully into the kiss, so their bodies were flush against one another's. The lip lock continued on for about another minute before the teens pulled away from each other, smiles on their faces and ears twitching seemingly in sync. I love you, she finally admitted. I've run away from this for far too long, so it's high time I said it. I love you, and you know I've always loved you, Blake. Naruto leaned his forehead against hers. And I always will. Now and forever. Congratulations, you two. Came the voice of Ajban as he came upon the scene, as they were standing right in front of his elevator. To see such young love blossom even during times like this truly warms the heart. As sorry you had to see all of that, Professor. Naruto blushed as he and Blake separated, with Blake standing right behind him, a very fierce blush of her own going on. Nonsense. Ajban waved the young couple off. It is good that you came by immediately, Mr. Uzumaki, and it is quite fortuitous that you decided to tag along with him, Miss Belladonna. I have a serious question that I would like to ask you. He then passed the couple and stepped into his elevator. And what is that, Professor? Naruto asked as he and Blake filed into the elevator after the bespectacled headmaster. What do you two know about Spectre? Rather quick of you to ask me this question, Ajban. Naruto inwardly mused as he feigned anger. What are you playing at, I wonder? Naruto would be the better person to ask here, Professor. Blake admitted. Well, Mr. Uzumaki? Ajban glared at the blonde. Spectre and I. Naruto sighed to get rid of his, albeit fake, anger. We knew each other back during my days as a mercenary, before I joined up with the White Fang. I don't know his real name, nor what he looks like beneath that mask. We worked together on a few odd jobs every now and then, and I even helped him build the dust saber he has. But your cooperation with each other ran afoul, I assume? I botched one of my last jobs and my previous employer decided to hire him to tie up loose ends. He and I fought to a stalemate. I barely escaped with my life. I knew him as a relentless hunter, so I was forced to run and cover my tracks, which is how I ended up associating with Heixiong, or Junior, as you may or may not know him. He helped me cover my tracks, and it was through him that I set myself back up as a respectable mercenary. I did jobs for him and a few of his own patrons, and eventually I found myself in Frostback where Adam found me and recruited me into the White Fang. I can corroborate most of this story, Professor. Blake added. Adam had his eyes on Naruto for a while, and made sure to take note of any associations he had. Junior was among them, as was his patrons. There were vague mentions of a mysterious person who was indeed after him, but he was a ghost. We could never pin down any credible leads or evidence of his existence. Apparently, this specter lives up to his name. I see. Ajban hummed. This explains why he wields a weapon similar to your dust sabers, Mr. Uzumaki. Now, I can relay back to the Council of Vale that you have no ties to Spectre other than nearly being assassinated by him back when he was also just a mercenary. I had no idea I had garnered the attention of the Vale Council. Naruto honestly admitted. He truly had no idea that the Vale Council was suspecting him already. Interesting. Thank you for letting me know, Oz. Now I know to tread more carefully. They were merely concerned because your weapons were similar. Ajban reassured the boy as the elevator stopped at the top floor of the tower, which happened to be his office. Now I can belay their concerns. Thank you, Professor. The last thing I need is the Council dragging me away from my new life here at Beacon so soon after having to leave my old one with the Fangs. I won't let them touch you. Blake lightly growled as she linked her fingers with his. I'm never letting you go. For anything or anyone. So feisty. Naruto chuckled. What brought this side of you out? You. Confessing my love for you. If they want you, they'll have to go through me first. She then lifted her left hand up to her bow and promptly untied it, the bow in question drifting silently to the floor of the elevator. I'm not afraid anymore, and I don't care who knows I'm a faunus. As long as I have you, then I have all the courage I need. It seems that your new girlfriend has gotten a substantial confidence boost, Mr. Uzumaki. Ajban chuckled as he sat at his desk. So it seems. Naruto smiled. Was that all, Professor? Yes, you two may return to your classes now. Ajban nodded. And congratulations once again. Thank you, Professor. Naruto said just as the elevator doors closed. That night, Vale City Waterfront District, warehouse, midnight. Well, Kid Roman began as he leaned back into his chair. How's your time at Beacon? Anything of note to report? Things are running smoothly. Naruto said as he adjusted to the weight of Neo on his lap. Ajban suspects nothing and I have a solid inside track. As it stands, my team, NBC, and I have garnered the friendship of two rival teams, JNPR and RWBY, led by John Arc of the prestigious Arc family and Ruby Rose, the same girl who handed your ass to you on a silver platter, Roman. Frost snickered. There was a goddamned huntress with her that night. Roman defended himself. 15-year-old girl. Neo also snickered as she adjusted herself on Naruto's lap so her legs were propped upon the table, and her head was resting against his chest. Embarrassing. Pathetic. Not you too, Neo. Roman seemed to deflate. She's right, Roman. Cut in the silky smooth voice of Cinder, as she crossed her right leg over her left knee. You were still bested by a girl. That same girl has silver eyes. That one statement from Naruto silenced all teasing, as everyone there knew the implications of having to deal with a silver-eyed huntress. If she has silver eyes, Adam began as he walked into the room and took his seat at the table, then we must eliminate her or otherwise render her incapacitated by any means necessary. Another thing that the three heads of Cerberus will deal with? Queried Roman, who was referring to Naruto, Adam and Frost, who were the three people in charge of the entirety of the White Fang. Hey, we can't solve all the problems this organization has. We're not goddamned miracle workers. Frost barked. Frost is right. Naruto mediated. We shall be leaving the White Fang out of this for now. Ruby is under 24/7 surveillance by Mercury, who is always on standby, waiting for the kill order from me should I have to give it. And what of Blake? Adam asked, his grip on Blush tightening ever so slightly at the mention of her name. She is on my team and she is currently acting as my cover while I'm attending Beacon. Meaning? He growled. She's my girlfriend. He sighed. I knew this would happen. Adam barked. We talked about this, Naruto. I told you infiltrating Beacon personally would skew your priorities, and look what's happened. You're breaking bread with a traitor. Is this my brother talking, or is this the possessive bastard that he turned into talking? Naruto intoned as he directed a glare to Adam, a glare which was reinforced by his right eye morphing into the sharingan. Because the former I can forgive for this outburst. If it's the latter, he let the threat linger there. Commanding Neo purred as she snuggled into her boyfriend. Don't care about Blake. Forever yours. Besides, commanding? Very hot. Neo's right again, Naruto. Cinder managed her own purr as she stood from her seat and took what space on his lap that wasn't taken by Neo and planted a kiss upon his right cheek. But as enticing as you are, there's still a meeting going on. Indeed. Naruto nodded as he felt Neo shift again so Cinder had more room. I have identified a team of targets which must be taken out, as they have no bearing on our plans. If they have no bearing, why kill them? Roman asked. Just curious, because they're better used to us dead than alive. Frost answered. They're a team of assholes who are too dumb to live. Plus, it's safer to take them out. Fewer people to deal with come the invasion. How do you want to go about this? And now calm down, Adam asked. They've been humiliated by my team and I today, which means their emotions will be running wild. Cinder, I need you to work your magic and get a couple packs of Ursa and Beowulfs into the Emerald Forest. Maybe a King Taija too. I'll provide you the coordinates. Simple enough. Cinder also got herself comfortable in Naruto's embrace, as he had just wrapped his right arm around her while his left was around Neo. With the Grimm in place, they will undoubtedly be attracted to the negative emotions rolling off of Team CRDL. They should do their jobs, but just in case, Neo, I want you on scene to clean up any prospective survivors. Make it look like the Grimm killed them, Roger. She snapped off a mock salute and a teasing smirk. Adam, I want you to go back and keep our fellow brothers in line. Keep them sated until our promised invasion rolls around. Right. Adam nodded. Roman, you continue stealing dust and lean. We need as much as we can get. Got it. Roman also nodded. Cinder, after tomorrow's operation, I want you to lay low and stay local here in Vale. Ashpin's bound to have stored amber somewhere secure. It's only a matter of finding out where. Continue searching the city while I focus on Beacon. Of course, my love. She purred and planted another kiss upon his right cheek, an action that Neo mirrored with his left. Frost and I will continue our infiltration of Beacon. If something else of interest pops up, I'll convene another meeting, same place, same time. Dismissed. Blonde bastard, getting all of the girls, Roman grumbled as he stood and walked out, followed by a silent Adam. I'll get back to Beacon, Naru. Frost offered. I'll tell Blake that you decided to stay here in Vale City a bit longer. Make up a good excuse for me. Naruto said as he stood, with Cinder leading both him and Neo to the back of the warehouse. In the back of the warehouse was a bunk room, and upon crossing into said room, Cinder was all but tackled into the far wall by Naruto, who immediately claimed her lips with his in a smoldering kiss which enticed a throaty moan from the half-maiden, a moan which took on a higher pitch when she felt her other female guest running her tongue over a very sensitive lower area after her panties had been dragged down. Thux, Cinder moaned out as Neo's tongue went to work exploring her while Naruto took to playing with her bountiful D-cups, enhancing her pleasure. Soon enough, Cinder found herself lying back on the bed, clenching the bedsheets tightly and screaming to the high heavens as Neo's expert tongue had just finished her off. Tasty. Neo snickered as she moved and positioned herself above the half-maiden, who was once again moaning loudly as Naruto had just began to work his own magic. Go on, Cinder. Naruto grunted as he charged into her over and over again. Have a taste of some ice cream. Despite her numerous moans, Cinder's own tongue began its payback against Neo as the trio began pleasuring each other. Throughout their acts, Naruto's sharingan remained active, as he wanted to burn every image into his brain. This might have been a moment of lust, but he truly did love both Neo and Cinder, and now Blake. By the end of it all, a pair of loud screams erupted from both Cinder and Neo as they both had hit their high at the same time, along with Naruto, who collapsed beside Cinder after spending himself inside? The half-maiden asked as her right hand went to caress her belly. As shit, Naruto cursed as he tried to regain his breath. I didn't realize. I don't care. Cinder breathed, also trying to catch her breath. Any child born from us would be unstoppable, always thinking of the future. Naruto chuckled. True though. Neo added in her opinion as she snuggled into Naruto's left side, her breasts pressed against his left arm. Same with us. Unstoppable child. What am I gonna do with you two? He faked a bitter sigh. In all seriousness, though we both love you and we'd be happy to have your children if it came down to it, but not just yet, I understand. Naruto nodded. We're about to go to war. We wouldn't have the time to care for a child after war. Neo yawned out. Have family after war? Yes. Cinder also snuggled up to Naruto at his right side, her breasts pressing into his right arm. After the war. When we rule all of Remnant. Yeah, Naruto managed his own yawn. When I'm emperor. And so the three lovers drifted off into a blissful post-sex slumber. All was peaceful for them. The next morning, however. Emerald Forest, noon. Shit! Carden exclaimed as he slammed his new mace into the skull of a Beowulf. Russell, you good? Turning, Carden's eyes widened to see the boy in question being devoured by a couple of Ursa. Sky was the first to have fallen to the grim, followed by Dove. He was the last one left. At seeing Russell fall, Cinder immediately dropped his mace and ran. He ran as if his life were depending on it, which it was. Go and find a professor. Find good witch. That's it, she followed us into this forest. She can save me, Carden desperately thought to himself, and just as he was nearing a clearing, he saw a shimmer in front of his face, followed by a white and black boot filling his vision as he fell backwards into a bush. Bad boy. Neo teased Carden with a sadistic smirk. Stay. Stay and die. No! Carden panicked as a Beowulf came upon him. No! He screamed out, his cries being silenced when said Beowulf tore out his throat and began eating him. The last member of the doomed team Ciardel. Good boy. Neo giggled as she disappeared back into her invisibility illusion, the sound of her giggling echoing over the grotesque sounds of gnawing flesh and bone. Beacon Academy, Ashbin's office, an hour later. And you're absolutely sure of what you saw, Miss Rose? Ashbin calmly asked, his hands linked under his chin in a temple. It was Team Ciardel, Ruby managed to say, despite the shock she was going through. They can confirm that they got eaten by a couple of rogue Grimpacks. Mercury finished for his young team leader, as Yan went to comfort her little sister. I see. Ashbin sighed as he closed his eyes and took in a breath. Team RWBY, you are dismissed. Thank you for your report. Come on, people. It's Friday and it looks like Ruby needs a night on the town. Mercury suggested as he led the still shell-shocked team back into the elevator. Good idea, Merc. Yang agreed. We all need a break. The elevator doors then closed. Another team taken before their time. Ashbin wearily sighed as he swiveled around in his chair to look at the setting sun. Minutes seemed to fly by as Ashbin merely took in the sunset until the ding of the elevator broke him out of his reverie. Have the casualty reports been filed, Glinda? He asked without turning to look at his guest. Would you rather I pretend to be your assistant, Professor? A deep synthetic voice filled the office as Ashbin's eyes widened. Quickly shooting up from his chair, his cane in hand, he turned to face the owner of the voice. Because I have no time for charades. Spectre Ashbin greeted the man. Standing before him was Spectre in all of his glory. The soft green lighting of the office reflected off of the pitch-black visor and cast him in an overall unnatural glow, which added to his intimidation factor. Hello, Professor. Spectre greeted Ashbin with a nod of the head, then linked his hands behind his back, his black cloak fluttering a bit as he did so. We have much to talk about. Chapter 6. Is this the beginning? So to what do I owe this pleasure? Asked Ashbin as he tightened his grip on his cane, expecting an attack at any time. You may relax, Professor. Spectre's deep synthetic voice filled the room once again. I came here not to fight, merely to negotiate. Negotiate? Ashbin echoed the masked man in front of him. Whatever for? Come now, Professor. The faintest echo of amusement seemed to find its way through the voice synthesizer. You must know of my plans by now, if you haven't had me figured out from the very beginning. You're a very clever and shrewd man, one that gives me pause admittedly. So tell me, Professor, what am I planning? Plain and simple, a revolution. Ashbin answered, slightly lowering his cane. You wish to wrestle power away from the kingdoms, you wish to replace a faulty system with a more efficient one, and you wish to liberate the hunter academies from the oversight of the kingdoms as a whole. You wish to make us our own separate entity so we might better fight the Grim on our own terms. Aptly put, Professor. Spectre clapped. Indeed, I was right to exercise caution when dealing with you. You truly do have me all figured out. But what I fail to understand is why you would come all this way just to talk to me. You obviously must know that the kingdoms want you dead, so why reveal yourself to me? Because, contrary to what the kingdoms would have you believe, I don't want to make an enemy of the huntsmen and huntresses, nor their academies. As you pointed out, I wish to liberate the academies, and to do that, the academies need to survive my revolution. Spectre began to explain. I wish to guarantee the academies' neutrality when it comes time for the revolution to take place, if not ally with them wholesale. I recognize that the hunters are needed in the war against the Grimm, and I know that you are being chaffed by the kingdoms and their oversight committees, so you've come before me to ask for a non-aggression pact at the very least. Ashbin surmised. Dare I assume you'd ask for an alliance? You may assume. Spectre nodded as he took one of the chairs in front of Ashbin's desk and sat. And if you had indeed assumed so, then you would be right. He then noticed that Ashbin had yet to let his guard down. Please, Professor, be at ease. I reiterate that I haven't come here to fight. You must forgive me for being overly cautious. The bespectacled headmaster finally let out a sigh and sat, flipping a switch on his desk. As he did so, a hard light chessboard phased into view. You never truly know a person, or their intentions, until you sit down and talk, and seeing as you have made no move to initiate hostilities, I'll extend you the same courtesy. White moves first. He finished, motioning for Spectre to begin the game. I had assumed you were a chess player, Professor. Again, amusement made its way through the synthesizer. Negotiations over a chess game, I must admit, this is a first for me. He picked up one of the hard light pawns and moved it. But alas, a welcome change. The terms of this non-aggression pact, Ashbin began, pausing only to move forward one of his own black pawns. Is it as clear-cut as I'm assuming it to be, or do you have any proper terms? No additional terms other than refusing your students or staff to get involved when the time comes. Another pawn was moved, and a potential alliance. Yellow eyes glanced up from the board and into the unreadable metal plate that was Spectre's mask. If I were to say yes, how involved would Beacon Academy be? Only as far as taking Vale is concerned. Spectre assured the headmaster, who had just moved a knight. Afterwards, you need not commit any other forces if you so wish. This time, a knight was moved to counter Ashbin's knight. Civilian casualties could be high. An edge made its way into Ashbin's gaze and voice. Have you taken this into consideration? Another pawn had been moved. Of course I have. The knight takes the pawn. I'll do my utmost to mitigate it, but as with all wars, sometimes it can't be helped. An unfortunate truth. Ashbin hummed as his own knight took Spectre's. I assume you'd want Beacon to help with the evacuation of civilians if I agree to the pact, as is your duty. Spectre nodded. Should you agree, your main role would be civilian evacuation, and if you ally yourself with me, your role would be civilian evacuation and support for my troops. So, you do have an army, the aged huntsman noted. Interesting. Interesting indeed, Spectre hummed as he took one of Ashbin's rooks with the bishop. For some time, the two played their game in silence. There was nothing else that needed to be said, and they both knew that the game had devolved into a war by proxy. Spectre knew that Ashbin would refuse, and Ashbin knew that Spectre was probing him, testing his character, looking for any figurative chinks in the armor. There they were, two chess masters, two of the smartest people in all of Remnant, coming to blows through their game of choice. You can't win, Spectre. Ashbin finally broke the silence as he moved his queen into position. I can't let you win, I won't let you win. Spectre once again hummed as he noted that he was in check. Is that arrogance I sense, Professor? Now that you're winning, you're letting your pride get the better of you. Good to know that even the great Ashbin can be blinded and brought to heel. He then moved his last remaining rook up to block the opposing queen. Instead of taking the rook with his queen, Ashbin used his remaining knight to take it, placing Spectre back into check. You'll bring nothing but destruction upon Remnant if you were to win. Ashbin spoke once again. If you return here with your army, Beacon shall stand against you and I shall put you to the sword myself. You're very welcome to try. Spectre rose to the challenge as he took Ashbin's knight with his last remaining pawn. In response, Ashbin immediately took the pawn with his queen, oblivious to the smirk underneath Spectre's mask. Upon Ashbin taking the pawn, Spectre moved his own queen up and took Ashbin's queen, which ended the game. It seems I win regardless of your bravado, Professor. Spectre leaned back into his chair and stretched. No one has ever pushed me that far before, I commend you. But you were so desperate to win that you overlooked the fact that you had pinned your own king in, with the only avenue of approach being guarded by your queen, who you foolishly left tied up, putting my king in check. This chessboard isn't the war. Yellow eyes rose from the board and stared into the horizontal slit that was Spectre's visor. You may have won the game, but you stand no chance when the true war comes. To me, you're still a child playing with forces he has yet to even comprehend. Yellow eyes narrowed as Ashbin reached for his cane. You will lose and you will die. It has been an enlightening game, Professor. Spectre casually brushed the headmaster off without a care in the world. I regret that you will not be joining me, but alas, Vale must have someone to blame for what's to come, and when the time comes and I've taken your kingdom from you, they'll blame you for the hell that you volunteered the country to. They'll strike your name from the records by the time I'm done. To Ashbin's surprise, Spectre disappeared completely from view, only to reappear behind him with his back turned to the headmaster. You will have ceased to exist. You have no place in my new world, so now you must disappear. Not likely. Ashbin struck out with his cane, but Spectre once again disappeared before the hit could connect. I bid you adieu, Professor. Spectre's voice echoed throughout the office. Until next we meet. Ashbin only allowed himself a mere few seconds of silence before he immediately jumped into action. Pressing a few buttons on his desk's heads-up display, he called up Glinda. Yes, sir? Glinda's voice sounded through the line. I need the entire academy on lockdown, Glinda. Now. He didn't mean to sound panicked, but it shone through in his voice anyway. What's happened? Spectre's here and we can't let him escape. Do it quietly, though, no need to get the students involved. Right away, Spectre Ashbin hummed as he sat back down in his chair and linked his hands under his chin in a temple. What's your next move? What will you do now? Vale City, with teams NBSE, RWBY and JNPR same time. Wow. Yang chuckled. I had no idea you liked ramen so much, Naruto. Yes, the three teams were currently sitting at a ramen stand. At Mercury's suggestion to lighten the mood after the fate of Team CRDL surfaced, they all hit the town as it was the weekend and their first stop happened to be a ramen stand which Naruto was currently indulging himself of, or he would if the Naruto that was with them were the real Naruto and not a shadow clone. You kidding me? The clone raised an eyebrow at his fellow blonde. I love the stuff. Blake seems to be enjoying it as well. Ren noted with the faintest hint of an amused smile at the couple's shared love of ramen. Indeed, Blake was currently slurping down her serving of fish ramen, her cat ears twitching in delight. When the truth about Blake came out, nearly everyone in their circle still welcomed her with open arms save for Weiss, who was more than a bit defensive when it came to her new relationship with not only Blake but nearly all of Team NBC. As with the truth of Blake's faunus heritage also came the truth that she, Naruto and Frost were all ex-White Fang members, so yes, tensions were high for the heiress to say the least. But that didn't stop the three teams from having a good time. As both the clone of Naruto and Blake scarfed down their ramen, Nora joined in on what she thought was an eating contest, much to Ren's dismay. How many bowls does this make now? John absently wondered aloud. 4 for Neru, 3 for Blake and 3 for Nora. Frost counted out. Another. Nora slammed her bowl onto the table after drinking the broth that was left. I'm done. Blake shook her head. This wasn't even a contest in the first place, Nora. She's right, Nora. Ren counseled his partner. Besides, Pyrrha's paying, and we shouldn't impose. No. Pyrrha also shook her head. Please eat as much as you want. There's such a thing as being too nice, you know. Mercury chuckled as he slurped down some of his own miso ramen. Leave the girl alone, Merc. Emerald lightly chastised her friend. If she wants to pay, then let her. I'm not complaining. Ruby! Naruto's clone called out to her after swallowing a mouthful of noodles. Come on, enjoy the night. You haven't even touched your ramen. Sorry, the young Rose managed to say, though her voice was subdued. It's just that I am trying to process it all. She began to absently play with her food using her chopsticks. Take all the time you need, Red. Surprisingly, Frost came to her aid. We're all friends here, so if you need to talk, you can come to any one of us. Are we really all friends here, Fawn? Weiss finally spoke up, glowering dangerously at the three Faunas at the table. You sure you're capable of being friends with a human? Have a care, Weiss, Naruto's clone drawled, much like Naruto himself would have done. We're here to have a good time and forget about everything. If you're gonna ruin the night with your bigotry, then you're welcome to leave right now. And who are you to tell me what to do? She snapped. Your organization has been the cause of countless murders within my family, including my uncle. Who's to say his murderer isn't sitting at this table right now? Do you know the meaning of shut up? Frost asked as his grip on his chopsticks began to tighten. If not, I suggest you take a trip back to your dear daddy and ask him to buy you a dictionary. You will hold your tongue, animal. Weiss. Mercury stepped in. Crack. Fuck this. Frost exclaimed as he tossed aside his broken chopsticks and stormed off into the shadows of Vale City's nightlife. Frost. Naruto's clone called after him, abandoning his ramen for his friend. Frost, wait. Blake also got up to try and chase him. Damn it, Frost. Emerald groaned as she joined the rest of her team in the search. Real smooth, Ice Queen. Mercury sighed. Just ruined the night. Come on. John stood up. Let's help them find Frost. Good idea. Pyrrha agreed with her leader. As for you, Yang regarded the heiress. You can go and get lost. We don't need your help. As if I need yours. Weiss called after the retreating forms of her team and her friends. With Pyrrha same time, immediately after agreeing to search for Frost, everyone split up to cover more ground. Here we find Pyrrha running through the streets of Vale's industrial district. The streets were relatively sparse. A light fog was rolling in off of the ocean, engulfing both the port district and the industrial district within its gray haze, but not enough to obscure the champion's vision as she winded down the streets in search of her friend. As she turned right into an alley, as she wanted to check every corner, she noticed a lone figure standing at the end of said alley with their back facing her, but she couldn't make out who it was because of the fog. Frost? She called out to the figure, as she approached cautiously. Frost, is that you? You're the second person that's mistaken me for someone else today, Miss Nikos. A deep synthetic voice filled the air as Pyrrha instantly stopped in her tracks. The figure turned on his heel and began approaching her, and she knew exactly who he was despite the fog. She was staring down Spectre himself and he was currently approaching her slowly, as if he were a predator savoring the moment before a kill. "Stay away!" She yelled and instinctively flared out her semblance in an effort to push him back. He just kept walking as if nothing happened. "Please, Miss Nikos." Spectre spoke once again. "I've come to talk, nothing more." "You have my word." "The word of a terrorist and a killer?" She rebutted. "I'm sorry, but no. How's your time at Beacon been, Miss Nikos?" Spectre linked his hands behind his back as he continued his walk towards her. "Everything you hoped it would be? An escape from your perfect little world?" "I said no talking." She tried to interrupt him with another wave of her polarity, again to no avail. "But isn't that what you want?" he countered as he brushed past her. "To talk so someone without them fawning over your fame or trying to exploit you for your status?" He began to pace around her. "Isn't that what you truly want, Miss Nikos?" "What I want is irrelevant." Green eyes followed the pacing black-clad figure as he made circles around her. "I beg to differ." That synthetic voice was starting to grate on her nerves. "What you want is of utmost import. That is, after all, why you came to Beacon in the first place, no? You come all the way here to Vale from Mistral because you knew that if you enrolled in Haven, you'd continue to be put on a pedestal, pampered and treated like a doll, Mistral's shining star, their champion, little more than a girl trying desperately to break out of that shell, to be known as just Pira Nikos." Her gaze lowered to the pavement below in silent contemplation, her face neutral and eyes lightly shaking as the walls began to crumble. "One would call that selfish, you know." Spectre lightly chuckled. "But sometimes we're entitled to be selfish." "No, selfish," Pira finally spoke, her voice just above a whisper. "Is that what you're calling your atrocities? Being selfish?" "No." Spectre shook his head as he made his third lap around her. "I call it necessary." "How can murder be necessary?" Her voice was desperate, just like the gaze she was casting upon the ground. "It should never be necessary to take someone's life. If only we lived in a perfect world." Spectre seemed to sigh through his synthesizer. "But alas, we do not. Miss Nikos, I'm doing what I'm doing out of necessity. I'm doing it because the kingdoms have utterly failed us. One could make the argument that they protect us all from the creatures of Grimm, but do they really? Is it the kingdoms or the hunter academies of the world? If it truly is the kingdoms, then the academies are the ones who have failed. And if it's the academies," Pira followed his thought process, and then it all clicked, "then the kingdoms have failed us." Spectre nodded as he began his fifth lap. "But truly, who can say which is correct? The kingdoms allow the academies to exist within their borders, and the academies use this gifted land as their own to train new huntsmen and huntresses every day. This cycle has gone on since the end of the Great War 80 years ago, and because this cycle has existed since that time, then the academies are innocent." Another question then clicked within Pira's mind. "Innocent of what, exactly? What have the kingdoms done to have failed us? For one, they allow someone like me to exist." Spectre continued on with his explanation. "Secondly, look around at the world as it is now. There's been a lasting peace since the end of the Great War, it's true, but if you look deeper, if you look past all of the propaganda and pay attention to the overall scheme of things, you'll find one glaring fact. The kingdoms are using the academies and their hunters as their own private military companies. Some hunters take contracts with their home kingdoms right after graduating, some sign themselves on for less than reputable jobs for shady businessmen, and others remain loyal to their academies, looking towards their headmasters and first hunters for leadership and guidance." "How do you know all of this?" Green eyes caught a glimpse of Spectre's visor as he passed her once again. "And how do I know you're telling the truth?" "You don't know if I'm telling the truth or not, Miss Nikos," Spectre counseled the young champion, "and if you were wise, you'd not trust anyone save for yourself and your own instincts. But as to how I know all of this, you could say that I am an expert in this field. I was a mercenary at one point, a freelance soldier. I contracted myself with the different kingdoms. I lent my services to anyone who needed them, and I was paid quite handsomely, but not handsomely enough to keep a lid on all of the dirty little secrets I learned about the kingdoms during my tenure of service to them. If you find that you indeed don't believe me, then ask your friend Naruto. He and I are old associates, as I was working as his partner at one point." "You mean?" Pira balked at the implication Spectre was presenting her with. "And Naruto, he was privy to all of this information as well." Spectre nodded, then stopped his pacing in front of her. "In fact, it was this very kingdom of Vale who hired me to kill him when he threatened to come forward with what he knew. That's what drove him into hiding and pushed him to join the White Fang, and it was also my influence that drove him from his home once again and pushed him to enroll at Beacon. You could say that our paths were destined to be entwined together. We're two sides of the same coin." As still Pira tried to recompose herself. "There are better ways to change the world than revolution. I gave the kingdoms a chance to stop," Spectre admitted. "It was after my mission to kill Naruto. I reported into the Council of Vale, gave my report, and when they dismissed me, I instead told them of what Naruto told me during our encounter. I asked them if it was true, and they didn't even bother lying to me. With my confirmation, I promptly left their chambers and disappeared for a time, only showing up again during the annual meeting of the Councils of the Four Kingdoms, the Conclave." Spectre paused to give Pira a chance to take it all in. "What happened then?" She was enthralled. Whether she wanted to admit it or not, she was firmly engrossed with the tale, and to Spectre himself to some extent. I made my way into Conclave, where I obviously wasn't wanted. Guards tried to stop me, but I forced my way into the council chambers where I found all 16 of them waiting for me. I then tried to get them to change their policies, let the academies rule themselves, build up their armies so they could defend themselves without the 24/7 support of the huntsmen and huntresses, and end the wars by proxy they were waging on each other. They refused me outright and declared me a criminal because I wanted what was best for not only my kingdom, but Remnant as a whole. And so you embraced the role they gave you? You became a criminal and called for a revolution, all while hoping that you could make things better? The anger was returning now. Violence begets violence, hatred breeds resentment. What you're doing will just make things worse. And you still don't believe me, or you won't accept what I'm doing, at least. Spectre managed a sigh. In time, you will see that I am right. Why? What he was doing finally caught up with her. With shaking hands, a figurative fire lit in her eyes, she stared right into his visor. Why are you telling me all of this? She asked, her voice shaky as the implications weighed upon her. Because Miss Nikos behind his mask. Spectre finally cracked a smile. She had finally followed it all through to the end, and his breath had not been wasted. I need your help. You need my help because of my status. She snapped. You want to use me? I'd be nothing more to you than a tool that you toss aside after my use runs out. No. He shook his head. I need your help because you are an exceptional woman. It has nothing to do with your status as a celebrity, or your standing with Mistral. I need your help because you can bring a pure voice to my revolution. You can speak to the people in a way that I could only dream of. You are a ray of light within the darkness we now find ourselves in, and I find myself wanting to preserve you, to save you from what's to come. I need you, Pyrrha. I need you on my side because I'm scared. He took a step towards her. I need you because with you, I see the potential to save countless scores of people who would otherwise stand up to me and oppose my every move. In you I see a way to make a difference, to give my revolution a voice as it's lacking one, save for my own. Why you? She was stunned. There was Spectre, the most wanted man in all of Remnant, a man who has been painted as a murderer and a terrorist, genuinely asking for her help because he sees that if he were to go through with his revolution, he might very well destroy the world he's trying to save. Not only that, but if his story was true, then he was labeled a murderer and a terrorist wrongly by the kingdoms. He was defending himself. When his employers turned on him, everything suddenly made sense to her. You mean it? You want me to be your voice? You want me to help you save this world before it destroys itself opposing you? Yes. He nodded. But I won't pressure you into a decision immediately. Spectre turned away from her and began to walk away, back into the fog. Take some time, reach your own conclusions about what I've told you, speak with Naruto if you feel so inclined to validate my words. But how will I get into contact with you? She called out to him before he disappeared into the gray. Talk with Naruto. His response stunned her more than it should have. Despite our past grievances, he and I have found a middle ground and have put aside our differences. If you wish to contact me, go to him. He'll handle everything. Until then, Miss Nikos. Spectre bowed his head to her, then disappeared back into the gray, his footfalls echoing throughout the fog until they too faded. Way to go, Pyrrha, she sighed to herself, slumping against one of the walls of the alley. In contact with a misunderstood terrorist, crazy conspiracy theories, just another day in Vale, I guess. Junior's Club, VIP Lounge, same time. F. Frost moaned one Melanie Malachite as Frost relentlessly attacked her exposed neck, his fangs prodding her pliable flesh and his claws teasing the skin of her thighs as she straddled him in the booth. Your voice is heaven. Frost's husky voice tickled her ear as he nibbled at it. Let me hear more of it. A firm hand on her ass coaxed a throaty moan from his female guest. With one hand on her ass, his other hand went to work untying her bodice as she slipped off her feather scarf. The bodice had just been untied when a spiral vortex formed in the middle of the room and grew in circumference until it nearly reached the roof of the lounge. As Frost lightly pushed Melanie off of him, he stood with a smirk, absently slipping on his jacket over his bare torso. About time you got here. He shot his smirk at the vortex. Looks like you've been keeping yourself entertained. Naruto stated, his voice being synthesized into Spectre's voice thanks to his mask as he stepped out of his Kamui portal, which promptly faded. Please don't let me keep you. Naruto, you're here? Melanie questioned, then wryly smirked. Let me get Miltia and we can make this a real party. Sadly, I must pass, Mels. He slipped his mask off and laid it upon the bar of the lounge, then unclasped his cloak, draping it over the very same bar, and regarded the younger Malachite twin. Neo and Cinder would kill me if I even considered cheating on them. And what do you call your fling with Blake? Frost collapsed back into the booth he was previously sitting in. Improvisation. He defended himself, the sound of his normal voice a slightly foreign thing since he had been in his Spectre attire for most of the day. Besides, they approve of Blake. Cinder's actually asked me more than once if I'm going to try and bring her over to our side. And will you? The more the merrier. He shrugged as he retrieved a bottle of scotch from behind the bar, unlidded it, and took a swig straight from the bottle. Speaking of which, Pyrrha might or might not come around to my way of thinking. She was that easy to crack? Frost asked as he peered over Melanie's shoulder, as she had taken to trying to resume where they had left off. By no means was she easy to crack. He shook his head. But progress has been made. Only time will tell if she comes around or not. He then stood and set his bottle of scotch on the bar. I'm gonna go get changed. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Frost merely flipped off his best friend's back as he disappeared into one of the side rooms of the lounge in order to change himself back into his everyday attire. As he went back to work on Melanie, he couldn't help but groan when his scroll began ringing. With a huff, he withdrew the thing from his jacket pocket and answered. Yeah? He rudely addressed the caller. Where the hell have you been, asshole? Emerald returned the rudeness. We've been looking everywhere for you. Check the industrial district for me. There's a club there, and a damn good one, too. Nair is here with me, he just got here. A club? She snapped. Of all the you-know-what? Fuck it, fine. I'll get everyone and meet you two there. Let me guess. Naruto voiced his arrival once again as he exited the side room. M's on her way with everyone. Yep. Frost nodded as he lightly pushed Melanie off once again. Looks like the night is still salvageable. You do realize that Weiss will be here as well? He began to chuckle. A prune like her getting wasted? You know you want to see that. He was just giddy at that thought. Should I go and let Junior know we're expecting guests? Melanie asked. Please. Frost nodded, then regarded his best friend. Might want to pack your stuff up before they get here. He gestured to Naruto's mask and cloak. Accepting Frost's suggestion, Naruto quickly picked up the mask and cloak, then rolled up the right sleeve of his duster, revealing a few ninjutsu matrix drawn around his forearm. After forming the half-ram seal with his left hand, the two items disappeared in a plume of smoke, now sealed within the matrix. You gotta teach me that shit at some point. Frost idly commented as he went for the bar. I'm not sure if you or anyone in this world would even be capable of learning ninjutsu. Naruto shook his head as he took the bottle of scotch from before and took another swig. And I'm not sure if I'd even want to teach anyone how to use it. Make peace with being a teacher, bro, Frost advised. Soon enough you're probably gonna be a dad, and your kids will most likely have the capability to perform your ninjutsu. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. He shrugged, then drank another portion of his scotch. What felt like hours passed for the duo as they sat and drank in silence, but was really only a good half hour as Team JNPR, Yang, Mercury, Emerald and Blake showed up at once, with Yang leading the pack, a noticeable sway to her hips. Junior! She called out to the bartender. Guess who's back, Blondie? Junior nodded his head to the blonde with a chuckle. Heard we'd be receiving company. Kid's up in the VIP area with your friend and drinks are on his tab. Seriously? Blake deadpanned. Naruto's actually paying for everything? I'm still surprised you decided to come along. Yang noted. I thought you'd go back to Beacon with Weiss and Ruby. I've been too uptight recently. It's about time I learn how to have fun. Good kitty. The blonde brawler beamed as she strutted her way through the club. It's time to party YY. Nora announced as she all but disappeared into the club. I feel bad for you. Mercury patted Ren's shoulder, barely holding in his laughter. I feel bad for me as well, Ren sighed, resigning himself to his fate. This is my first time in a place like this, John admitted, shuffling in place uncomfortably. Look what we have here, Miltia. Melanie said as she and her twin sister approached the knight. Green as grass. What should we do with him, Mels? Miltia asked as she looked him up and down. You two leave him alone. Junior barked to the twins, much to both John and Pira's relief. Come here, kid, I'll get you straightened out. As John reluctantly approached the bar, Mercury was the next to disappear into the crowd of the club, followed by Rin, who was searching desperately for his partner, leaving only Blake, Pira and Emerald standing at the entrance. Well, it's just us, I guess. The cat fondness of the pair sighed, then turned to Pira. Should we head up to the lounge? Let Naruto and Frost know we're here? I think that would be best. Pira nodded, doing her best to hide her desperation to talk with the blonde fox Faunus. You two go ahead, I'm gonna stay down here. Emerald called after them as they began walking. I feel like letting loose on the dance floor. And so the Faunus and the champion made their way up the steps and entered the lounge, where they found Naruto and Frost drinking at the bar. So, the whole crowd showed up? Naruto asked as he turned in his stool to face his girlfriend with a smile. I didn't notice Weiss or Ruby, but maybe that's for the best. Weiss is too much of a prune to even be seen in a club. Blake scoffed. And Ruby's still 15. Of course it's for the best. She then sauntered over to her boyfriend and shared a quick kiss with him, despite the kiss tasting like the scotch he was drinking, which she liked, but she'd never admit it. What was that for? He questioned after the kiss ended. Just felt like the thing to do. She shrugged, then sat in the stool next to him. You just like being all lovey-dovey now that you've finally gotten together. Frost laughed from his spot to Naruto's right. If we were still with the Fangs, then I'd have just won big from the betting pool on whether you two would get together. If we were still with the Fangs, then Adam would have lost his shit and attacked me. Naruto countered. And we'd be one brother down. They were never our brothers or sisters. Blake had to force herself to bite back the hostility, as she swiped Naruto's scotch from him, and took a sip. Excuse me, Pira made her presence known. Oh, sorry, Pira. Naruto sheepishly scratched the back of his head. You were just so quiet that I didn't notice you. Something wrong? Blake asked. You really were being quiet. Nothing. She shook her head negative, deciding to not ruin the night by bringing up what had happened. I was just thinking that you two really do make a cute couple. A genuine giggle escaped her. Well, Naruto blushed. We've known each other for a long time, and we were stubborn. Blake fought through her own blush. More like I was stubborn. That you were, babe. Naruto chuckled as he stood from his stool and hugged his girlfriend from behind. But that's one of the things I like about you. He kissed her cheek, then took his scotch back from her and continued drinking. Get a damn room. Frost teased the young couple. You three have fun. Pyrrha said as she walked out of the lounge. I'm going to see how John's doing. By the time she reached the base of the stairs, she saw that Emerald was dancing her heart out on the dance floor, along with Young. Nora and Rin were at the bar with John, and Mercury was off flirting with the Malachite twins. All in all, she could safely say that everyone was having a good time, but as she took a seat next to the rest of her team, she couldn't help but think back to her conversation with Spectre. At some point, she had to confront Naruto with it all. She needed confirmation. But she wouldn't worry about it now. Tonight was a night of revels, or it would have been had the front doors of the club not been shoved open by the Vale Police Department. All dancing, drinking and music stopped upon the police filing in behind a man in a black suit and overcoat. As the man approached the bar, Junior managed a frown, but nevertheless continued polishing the glass in his hand. Hey Shion? The man in the black overcoat asked. That'd be me. Junior replied with a positive nod. One of your regular patrons, one Naruto Uzumaki, has been summoned by the Council of Vale. The man explained. We've come to retrieve him. Oh shit, Emerald cursed as she calmly exited the dance floor and up the stairs into the VIP lounge to warn Naruto about what was taking place. The hell's going on out there, em? Frost questioned. The music stopped. Some lackey of the council's here. They've summoned you, Naruto. Why? Blake questioned. What would they want with you? Most likely to question me about Spectre. Naruto groaned. Something must have happened to warrant them reaching out to me after trying to have me killed. They what? The cat Faunus raged just as the man in the overcoat turned the corner into the lounge. Naruto Uzumaki, the man growled and narrowed his eyes at the blonde Faunus. Leader of Team NBSE and freshman of Beacon Academy, the Council of Vale has called upon you. And why, pray tell, would they want to speak to me, huh? He harshly questioned the man. They tried to assassinate me for fuck's sake. Your old associate Spectre infiltrated Beacon tonight with no alarms raised and made it into Headmaster Ashbin's office, he began. Oh no, Blake gasped, expecting the worst. Words were exchanged over a game of chess and Spectre left after trying to convince Ashbin to betray his kingdom and join the supposed revolution that's being planned. Blake sighed in relief at the man's words. The council, despite your history with them, wishes to bring you in and question you of Spectre's motives, as you knew him the best. You have insight as to his character. You know what drives him, what his goals are. The council wishes to put differences aside for the moment to combat a shared enemy. Naru? Frost turned to his best friend. What are you gonna do? I'll go. Naruto decided after a moment of consideration. Take me to them. Very well. The man nodded. Follow me, we have a car waiting. Frost, you're in charge of the team until I get back. Naruto told his friend as he rose from his stool. Got it. Frost nodded. Naruto Blake shot up from her stool and grasped one of his arms. Be careful. Always am. He smiled and pulled her into a kiss which lasted but a moment. As Naruto and the man in the overcoat made their way through the club, all eyes were on him. Wondering eyes that were curious as to why the council would summon someone in the late hours of the night, let alone a Faunus. And then there were his friends. As he passed each one, he gave a reassuring nod until he got to Mercury. Get this over with quick, our little circle might fall apart without you. Mercury joked as they shared a fist bump. Make sure it doesn't, Merc. Naruto smirked. But if I'm not back before tomorrow, take everyone out for some ice cream. My treat. The stare and the slight emphasis on ice cream conveyed the message clearly to Merc. Go find Neil. And Merc knew that if Neil was with Roman, then Naruto would want him to inform Roman as well, and Roman would inform Cinder. The more he thought about it as he stared at Naruto's retreating form, the more it became clear the first big move was about to take place. But the real question was not what would happen to the council at the end of it all, it was whether or not the revolution would be kicking off early. Shaking himself free of such thoughts, Mercury quickly slipped out of the club after the cops had left and made for the docks, with Frost following suit seconds behind him. You go and get Torchwick ready. Frost called out to his fellow revolutionary. I'm gonna go prep Adam and my other brothers and sisters. Got it. Mercury yelled back to Frost, then began running as fast as his mechanical legs could take him, arriving at the warehouse in record time. Upon arriving, he damn near took the door off its hinges as he busted through it in his rush. Hey! Roman snapped, annoyed. You break that door, you pay for a damn replacement. Shut it, Torchwick. Mercury returned with equal heat. Where's Cinder? What's happened? Roman took note of the urgency in Mercury's voice. The council's taken Naruto. Oh shit, Roman muttered as he turned to the back room. You hear that, you two? Your knight in shining armor's been nabbed. The council's made the first move, to be expected. Cinder hummed as she made her way to the desk in the center of the room. If the council has Naruto, then they're going to question him about Spectre. This means the first phase has begun. Should I get our boys ready? Roman questioned. Frost's mobilizing the White Fang right now, so I'd say we should get our people ready as well. Mercury added to the conversation, while crossing his arms. Then our course is decided. Cinder agreed to the plan. Depending on how the world takes what's about to happen, then our revolution might be nigh at hand. Make sure everyone's ready. Promptly, Roman and Mercury both went to work making sure everything was set and ready while Cinder leaned over the desk to look at the map of Remnant that was sitting on it. It was the moment of truth for everything. The first big move. She only hoped that things would go according to plan. Chapter 7. Welcome to the family. The council hall was grand, spacious and luxurious, befitting the 4 people in charge of the Kingdom of Vale. It was supposedly the most secure building in the entire kingdom, yet walking through the front doors was their greatest enemy, and he had been invited. As Naruto made his way through the front doors of the establishment, and through the many winding hallways, he took note of the level of security, the placement of the cameras, whatever he thought he'd need to remember in case he ever returned. His attention then shifted to his 3 escorts, the man in the black overcoat and 2 VCPD officers, the former walking just ahead of him, and the 2 latter officers flanking behind him to his right and left. His dust sabers had been confiscated by the man in black and he could hear them clinking around in the man's coat pocket. It was a precaution and Naruto understood why they disarmed him, given their known and unknown history, but for what was about to happen, he needed his weapons. He was then led into what he surmised to be a waiting area. Curiously enough, he had assumed that the council would have wanted to see him post-haste, but it seemed that it was not the case. You'll be waiting here for a brief period of time, the man in black said as he handed Naruto's dust sabers off to one of the officers. I'll return when the council is ready for you. Until then, you're welcome to whatever's in this room. Have a timetable for me? Naruto asked in genuine curiosity. Shouldn't be more than an hour or 2. Other cases are being held here, after all. Yours is just one in a long line. You'd think that mine would take priority. He scoffed as he sat upon the couch. Honestly, the man sighed. I agree with you. Spectre is too big a threat to just ignore, yet the council is taking their sweet time dealing with him. How do you think I feel? Naruto retorted. He was sent to kill me. On this very council's orders, mind you, but they had reason. Spectre, however, he faked a shiver. He enjoys the violence. He was more than happy to take the contract. How a person like Spectre was allowed to live is beyond me, the man sighed once again while shaking his head. Hopefully you'll help rid us of this problem, Mr. Uzumaki. I'll do my best. Naruto nodded. With nothing left to be said, the man returned Naruto's nod and promptly walked out, followed by the officer who now had the dust sabers, and shut the door behind them. Well then, he let out a weary sigh. What's on TV? Beacon Academy, same time. Raven, we don't have time to argue, yelled the one and only Crow Branwen at his sister, who was standing in the far corner of Ojban's office with her arms folded under her breasts. Oz needs us there, and we'll be there. If Spectre shows up, I will kill him. Raven replied heatedly as her red eyes bore into the same shade of red that was her brother's. The council's useless. They won't pull the trigger on an assassination, so I'll do it for them. We'll act as the council needs us, Miss Branwen. Ojban snapped as he stood and took his cane into his hands, headed for the elevator. And you will follow my orders to the letter. Am I clear? Crystal, Professor. Raven bit out. This isn't like you, Ray. Crow shook his head. You weren't like this during our academy days. What the hell happened to you? I woke up, was Raven's short reply as she slipped on her mask. When will you, brother? And with that, she held out her right hand in front of her and a reddish-black portal opened up, which she stepped through and disappeared into its confines. Damn it, Ray Crow muttered as he followed Ojban into the elevator. It was a silent ride down to the ground floor, where upon the doors opening, Ojban and Crow were greeted to the sight of teams NBSC, RWBY and JNPR, all looking anxious, save for Weiss, who was less than thrilled about being dragged along. Ah shit, Crow muttered under his breath as he facebound. Please clear the way, Ojban said as calmly as he could. We have somewhere to be, and so do we, Frost declared. We were there when Nair got snatched up by the cops. We want in on whatever's going on. Naruto's our friend. Young backed up the Faunus. We have a right to be beside him. He deserves to have people in his corner. Ren nodded. He's been nothing but nice and supporting to us all. The least we could do is be there for him. Not possible. The normally stoic Ojban was now starting to lose his temper. Go back to your dorms or I will have you taken there by force. Try us, old man. Frost matched the headmaster's temper with his own, fangs bared, claws out and icy blue eyes now glowing dangerously. You'll get a war you're not prepared for. Please, Frost. Pyrrha put a calming hand on his shoulder as she directed a fierce gaze to Ojban. Professor, please reconsider. We would like to just be there for Naruto. We don't have to be involved with whatever's going on. We just wish to be there for our friend. Uncle Crow, please. Ruby tried to prod her uncle. Naruto needs us there. Oz Crow finally spoke up. You know if you say no, they're going to fight back and follow us anyway. What harm could letting them tag along cause? Plenty. Ojban responded, eyeing Frost and Blake harshly. I can't take the chance. Then prepare to fight your way out of here, because they won't let us pass without a yes. Then it's time they learned their place. Ashbin prepared his cane, but a hand on his arm stopped him. You touch one hair on my niece's heads, and I swear to the dust. Crow glowered with glowing red eyes. You won't be walking out of here at all. Crow, do you realize what you're saying? What's at stake tonight? The calm persona finally slipped. Spectre is the most dangerous threat Remnant has ever seen. The council will finally be dealing with him tonight. We can't let them come. It's too dangerous for them. Put some faith in them, Oz. Crow matched the head being thrown at him. They've been training for this. They can handle themselves, and if they can't, what then? Then you can put all the blame squarely on me. I'll take responsibility. With his gaze shifting from Crow to the 11 teens in front of him, each one of them, save for Weiss once again, with a determined face, he let out a long sigh while lowering his cane. Very well. Ashbin resigned. But if anything should happen to them, you're responsible. Thank you, Oz. Crow nodded. Now we're behind schedule. I suggest we hurry it up. Follow us. Ashbin told the kids as he began walking at a brisk pace towards the landing pads. As the now large group of people made their way to the waiting airship, something on the horizon caught Crow's eye. Oz. He bit out through grit teeth. Look, damn it. Ashbin cursed at what he was seeing. With Naruto, same time. The hell is that thrumming? Naruto asked aloud as he tore his attention away from the TV. Beats me. The officer in the room shrugged. Should we go check? Naruto asked, faking ignorance, even though he knew exactly what was happening. You stay here. The officer ordered. I'll go. Hey, at least take me to the bathroom as well. I gotta piss. Damn it, fine. The officer groaned. As the officer opened the door and motioned for his compatriot standing guard outside to follow, Naruto had to stop himself from smirking. Things were falling into place nicely. He had an inkling of what was going on, but now he knew for sure. He silently followed his escorts to a neighboring hallway which held a bathroom. Watch him. The officer from before warned his partner as he walked off to investigate what was happening outside. Go on. The second officer opened the door for Naruto, then promptly followed him in. I have to get out of here, the time is nearly right, Naruto thought to himself as he stepped into one of the stalls to relieve himself. How fortunate that the officer who has my weapons is also here with me. After zipping up, he turned to the locked stall door and slowly slid the lock from its place. He took in a breath and slowly counted to 3 in his head. Upon reaching 3, he shoulder-charged the now unlocked door, sending it careening open the officer's back and sending the man flying forward into the sinks, and the dust sabers clinking to the ground as they fell out of his pocket. Shooting a chakra thread out of his right index finger and onto the hilt of one of his dust sabers, in one smooth motion, Naruto yanked the weapon to his hand, hit the igniter and stabbed the man through his heart just as he was reaching for his weapon. After deactivating the crimson blade of his dust saber, Naruto calmly picked up its twin and hooked them back on his belt while also rolling up his duster's right sleeve so he could access his sealing matrix. Eyeing the particular seal he wished to use, Naruto channeled some chakra to his left index finger and pushed down upon the ink, where after a small plume of smoke, an empty scroll appeared in his left hand. He then turned to the corpse of the officer, and promptly sealed it inside the scroll to essentially get rid of the evidence. After resealing the scroll into his tattoo, Naruto quickly created a Kage Bunshin, shadow clone, which stood at attention upon being created. Transform yourself into the officer we just killed. He ordered his clone as he handed his dust sabers to it. Don't want to draw attention to ourselves. Got it, boss. The clone snapped off a salute before transforming itself into an exact likeness of the officer, and taking the offered weapons. Naruto then created another clone and eyed this one critically. For all intents and purposes, you are now me. He told the clone. You'll be taking my place in this farce. Clear? Clear, boss. This clone also snapped off a salute. Good, now get going you two. With not another spoken word, the two clones went off to carry out their orders, leaving their boss alone. Now his right eye morphed into the sharingan. To get the real party started, he then disappeared into a Kamui portal. With Ashbin and company, half an hour later. I'm gonna kill him, growled Crow as the airship landed. Bringing an entire fleet with him? What the hell? Calm yourself, Crow. Ashbin tried to hide his own frustration after his outburst earlier. I don't agree with this either, but it's not our place to question him. Shit's about to hit the fan, Frost said as he stared out the window of the airship at the Atlesian fleet. So what if the Tin Man's here? Mercury shrugged. If anything, this is good for us. Jimmy's more liable to fuck up with his men within earshot. Worst comes to worst, the revolution starts here. Emerald agreed. And we're ready for it. The rest of Remnant isn't. Alright, everyone. Crow began shouting. Get behind Oz and I. We're ready to go. I just hope Naruto knows what he's doing, Frost admitted as he and M joined Blake at the front of the pack, directly behind Ashbin and Crow. Why am I even here? Weiss protested. I don't care what happens to the blonde ruffian. If anything, he probably deserves what's about to happen. Objection noted, Princess. Yang groaned. Now please, for everyone's sake, shut up. Weiss would have protested further, but the doors of the airship slid open, revealing none other than James Ironwood, flanked by her sister Winter and father. She meekly greeted him. Ajban. James nodded to his colleague. Why is there a group of trainees behind you? They insisted upon coming with us, James. Ajban answered. They're personal friends of Mr. Uzumaki and wish to be here to support him. Fair enough. James nodded once again in agreement, then noticed Weiss. Miss Schnee stepped forward. Why yes, General. Weiss did as ordered and snapped into an Elysian salute. Your sister and father are here. Come greet them. We're taking up too much time here, James. John dismissed the notion. We're here for Spectre, nothing more. John, please. James protested. At least acknowledge your daughter. Weiss understands what's going on here, James. John brushed a hand over his mustache as he eyed the general. Do you? Yes, sir. James decided to drop the subject. The others are waiting for us, Ajban. After you? Ajban gestured for James to take the lead. Your dad's a Mercury, whispered to Weiss as they began walking once again. Father's very busy. Weiss weakly defended. He doesn't seem like the most agreeable person. Pyrrha agreed with Merck's rather vulgar summation of John Schnee. Weiss. Winter called out to her, as she fell behind James to catch up with her sister. I'm sorry about father. It's all right, Winter. Weiss shook her head and faked a smile. He's busy, I understand. No, he's not. Winter shook her head. He's obsessed, now more than ever. He's running our family and company into the ground because of his drive for revenge. He wants Spectre dead, even if that means sacrificing everything in the process, including me and you. Because Spectre killed our uncle. Spectre ordered the hit on our uncle, but wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. Winter shook her head. And that absolves him of blame? Of course not. She snapped. Revenge can be a driving force up to a point. When it becomes an obsession, you suddenly have nothing left inside of you but hate and rage. You destroy yourself and everything around you when revenge becomes an obsession. Father knows what he's doing, I'm sure. Weiss once again denied, shaking her head. We'll speak more of this later. Winter said, then abruptly broke off and rejoined James and John at the front of the pack. The rest of the walk was spent in tense silence, as no one there knew what to expect. Eventually, the group was led into a large circular room that had 4 raised platforms. Upon these 4 platforms were the 4 counselors from all 4 kingdoms. The Veil Council sat in the middle left platform, the Elysian Council to the far left platform to the right of the Veil Council. The Mistral Council sat upon the middle right platform to the Veil Council's left, and the Vacuo Council sat upon the last platform on the far right to the Mistral Council's left. Without uttering a word, Ajban and Crow walked up to the Veil Council's platform and stood directly beneath them, with James taking his place at the head of the Elysian Council's table and John and Winter standing directly beneath his platform. Beneath the Mistral Council's platform stood a woman who stood at 6 feet 3 inches, had long flowing red hair tied up into a ponytail and striking green eyes, wearing a golden circlet atop her crown, a gold-tinted steel chestplate that covered most of her ample breasts and left her shoulders bare, matching steel gauntlets and greaves with a scaled armor skirt and brown leather fingerless gloves underneath her gauntlets. Across her back was slung a black and gold kite shield, and on either of her hips sat 2 sheathed gold and red swords. And mother? Pyrrha called out to the woman. Pyrrha? The woman looked over to the group of students in surprise. This was the famed huntress Athena Nikos, mother of Pyrrha Nikos and newly inducted headmaster of Haven Academy. Pyrrha, what are you doing here? To support my friend, mother. Pyrrha answered. What are you doing here? I was going to let you know eventually, she lightly blushed. I'm sorry. And now we know where she gets it, Frost muttered to Mercury and Yang, who snickered. Let me know what, mother? Pyrrha asked, still confused. I'm the new headmaster of Haven. Athena! Scolded one of the Mistral counselors. Enough. I'm sorry, counselor. Athena once again apologized. Finally, underneath the Vacuo Council's platform stood a man who stood at 6 feet 6 inches, had wild dark brown hair, a matching goatee and a pair of small buffalo horns, identifying him as a faunus. He was dressed what seemed like a set of white and gold monk robes torn open at the chest to show off his muscular build, with black gloves covering his hands, black boots and armor segments over the shoulders of the robes. Strapped to his back was a strange staff that had a crescent-shaped object on one end and what looked like an axe head on the other. This was Sha Wujing, headmaster of Shade Academy. All of the councils are here, along with all 4 headmasters, muttered Ren. We're attending the conclave. You all! Sha called out to them, his voice loud and thunderous. Clear the way. Not wanting to cross the headmaster of Shade, the group wisely moved off to the side as the doors they were previously standing in front of swung open to reveal the person they were in attendance to support. Flanked by 2 officers and the man in black was Naruto, who looked none worse for wear or who they thought was Naruto. The Naruto clone and the officer clone cracked barely visible smirks upon not being called out as fakes as they entered the room and stood in the very center. You 3 may go now. One of the Veil counselors said. Yes, counselor. The man in black nodded and motioned for his 2 officers to follow him out. Naruto Uzumaki, another Veil counselor, glowered. Counselors. Naruto shot them a smirk. Long time no see, eh? Last time we were together like this, I was attacked by Spectre on my way out of the building, and yet here we are again, with you begging for my help once again. Remember who you are speaking to, boy. One of the counselors from Mistral glowered. Show your betters respect. There's no respect to be given to those who don't deserve it. Naruto shot back. We've called you here, Naruto, to talk about Spectre. James mediated. We all know that you fought on multiple different occasions, including your most recent encounter where this conclave ordered your execution, a mistake on our parts. Admittedly. They what? John whispered to the group. They tried to have Naruto killed? Naruto's fought Spectre before? Yang questioned in surprise. Blake Frost softly called her name after seeing her shake with rage. Calm down. I can't believe it, she continued shaking. I run away from one corrupt life and into another, same shit, different day. What about this is corrupt? Weiss asked. Naruto must have crossed the council in some form, so they wanted to tie up loose ends. Naruto was a mercenary before he joined the Fangs. Frost impatiently explained to the Ice Queen. He mainly contracted himself out to this very conclave. He fucks up just one mission and they say fuck it, let's kill the little bastard. If that's not bent and corrupt, I don't know what is. Then he might have found out a few things he shouldn't have known. And what government's first option is an assassination attempt? Frost fired back. A broken one. And now you're sounding like one of those revolutionaries that are following Spectre. Weiss pointed an accusing finger at the faunus. Miss Schnee. Athena called out. Quiet. We need your help once again, Naruto. One of the vacuo counselors spoke. Spectre is very dangerous, and we're reaching out to you because of your past with him. You know him. James reasoned. You know how he fights, what his motives are. You could prove to be an invaluable asset to the coming conflict. It's true that I know him, Naruto hummed. And it's true that I could lend my knowledge to you all, but I want something in return. Anything. James once again spoke up. I want my record wiped clean, as well as Frost's and Blake's. Clean slates for all three of us and a promise to leave us alone afterwards. Spectre said that Naruto's in league with him. Pira began to zone out what was happening. If so, why is he making nice with the conclave? Is he a genuine double agent? Or is he? As soon as the thought crossed her mind, she realized all too late what was going on. You know as well as I do, Naruto, that their promises mean nothing. An all too familiar synthesized voice filled the air. In strolled Spectre, flanked by Cinder and Adam on his right and left respectively as they made their way to the center of the room and took a place beside Naruto. So why are you even bothering? Spectre finished his sentence with a sideways look to the blonde. The fuck are you doing here? Naruto growled. One of the officers I killed on my way in had your weapons. Spectre held out the twin dust sabers. Use them on me if you feel you must. You came here for a reason. Naruto took his weapons from Spectre and hooked them upon his belt. So go ahead, make another speech. You know me so well. The teasing tone in Spectre's voice found its way through the synthesizer as he turned to the conclave and headmasters. It is indeed a surprise to see the full conclave here, including the headmasters. Otman, my conversation with you must have shaken you up terribly, so for you to take it straight to the top. Don't play coy. Ajban scoffed. You knew I'd go to the council with what happened, and indeed you played off my gambit perfectly. Spectre nodded. Now another conclave has been called and the headmasters are all in attendance. The early morning rays of sunshine began to break through the windows of the room as the implications of the statement began to take full effect. Shah withdrew his monk's spade, Athena her shield and her twin swords which she attached together, and transformed into a spear. Ajban readied his cane, Crow brought out his scythe and James reached into his suit pocket for his pistol, Winter her saber and John the estoc he had sheathed at his waist, but no attack came. Still so very jumpy, Spectre chuckled. I shan't attack any of you. This is a negotiation, and I will not be so vulgar as to violate the decorum of this event. Then why bring him with you? Blurted Blake as she pointed to Adam. He's a psychopath. A murderer. Just like you, such little you know, my darling. Adam smirked viciously as he put a hand on Wilt. Shall I have to re-educate you, Adam? Naruto growled. Back up. Now, calm yourself, Mr. Taurus. Spectre also stepped in. As I said, we shall not initiate hostilities. We are negotiating, nothing more. Of course. Adam said through his grit teeth as he let Wilt go. And you, Miss Belladonna. Spectre turned to the girl in question. You are not a part of these negotiations. You are a guest, and as such, your voice is not needed. Kindly refrain from any further outbursts, if you please. Miss Belladonna, you may leave the room. Ajban glared angrily at her. Mr. Schwartz, Miss Sustrai, escort your teammate out. Nonsense, Professor. Spectre turned his attention back to the bespectacled headmaster. We need witnesses for these negotiations, do we not? Then please continue. James removed his hand from his pocket. If conflict can be avoided, then we're all ears. You already know my terms, counselors. Spectre stepped closer to the platforms. The academies need to be independent from the current system. The corruption needs to be curbed, the proxy wars, the spoils system, the elitism, the favoritism, all of it. It has to end. You, Athena cleared her throat so she could speak. You truly mean the academies no harm, then? None whatsoever, Miss Nikos. Spectre shook his head negative. As I told Ajban, I wish for nothing other than the academies to govern themselves separate from the kingdoms. And for wanting better for my world, these fools brand me a traitor, along with Naruto here. What? Shaw questioned. Is this true? Very much so. Spectre once again nodded. Naruto knew about all of this even before I did, so if you wish to split hairs, he is the real father of this revolution. I am just the only one who is willing to listen to him. James, is this true? Athena turned and looked up to Atlas's platform. Unfortunately, yes. James slowly nodded as he made a temple with his hands under his chin. Naruto found out some of our closely guarded secrets, and he confronted us about it in good faith. The rest of this conclave voted to have him killed, while I and a select few others voted against the motion. Spectre was our chosen assassin, and instead of carrying out his orders, he and Naruto talked, the secrets were revealed and Spectre was turned against us. James, that's enough. One of the Veil counselors panicked. Keep talking, James. Spectre urged the general. It needs to be said. We were wrong. James admitted. We shouldn't have done what we did to Naruto. It was unjust and unfair. That being said, what you're doing, Spectre, is also unjust. The kingdoms have been around for hundreds of years. We've had time to iron out the creases, so to speak. What we're doing or not doing is for the good of all remnant. That's exactly what you told me just before you tried to have me killed. Naruto yelled. It's bullshit, and you all know it. You're desperately clinging to a broken system that has been slowly dying for a long time now while turning your back on the new system that I'm offering freely. Spectre also stepped in. Revision sometimes needs to take place in order to come out with a better written novel. Such is the same with a dying government that's drawing its last breath. And so you assassinate my brother? John yelled, his grip on his estoc tightening. You and your circus of animals dare to claim righteousness when innocent blood is on your hands? And you dare defend a murderer in front of me, Mr. Schnee? Spectre raised his voice to the president of the SDC. Your brother was as corrupt as they came. He had his hands in gambling, prostitution, drug deals, the black market trade of your own company's dust. He even dabbled in the infamous slave labor your company was accused of. That accusation came directly from me and I proved it by exposing your brother for what he was, a monster. And he was a monster that I was happy to have had put down, bastard. John roared as he charged headlong at the man. Father! Winter rushed after him. John! No! James tried to warn off the man. One more step, Adam whispered to his most hated enemy as he held Wilt to his throat after flashing in front of him. And you're breathing through a new hole. Schnee! James called out to Winter. Get your father out of here. He's no longer welcome in these chambers. How dare you! John was beside himself with rage. The both of you. You dare turn your back on me, James? He continued to rant even as Winter dragged him out. And you, Winter, you turn against your own blood? You're a fucking disgrace. Both you and Weiss. His voice trailed off as he was dragged off out of the chambers and disappeared into the halls. Well, that was rather eventful. Cinder finally spoke. It was unfortunate, Miss Fall. Spectre shook his head as Adam rejoined the group. Such is what happens when revenge blinds you to everything else. Father Weiss choked back a sob, only to turn and hug Mercury when he placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Mercury revised his statement from before as he shared a look with Yang. Personality-wise, yeah? Yang agreed with a nod. Otherwise? Hell no. It seems negotiations have hit a bit of a hiccup. Spectre linked his hands behind his back, his cloak fluttering lightly as he did so. Shall I assume that they've fallen apart? No. James denied a bit too quickly. We can still negotiate, now that we've gotten rid of the malcontent among us. I'm not sure if negotiations can resume. Spectre shook his head. You already deny the possibility of revising the government and letting the academies go, which is tantamount to a refusal altogether. What am I to think when all of my attempts at compromise have been so thoroughly thwarted, let alone when I'm attacked during these negotiations? There can still be peace, James urged. There can be no peace, not with such a malignant system that has no right or business living past its time. Spectre then turned to leave, followed closely by Cinder and Adam. You may or may not hear from me again. It could be today, it could be a month from now, but know that I shall not reveal myself to you all again until I am ready. I bid you all adieu. As the trio walked out, Pyrrha took it upon herself to chase them down, but as soon as she rounded the corner, they had all but disappeared without a trace. They're gone. She spoke wide-eyed. Damn it, James slammed a fist down onto the table, lightly cracking it. We were so close, if only John hadn't have interfered. Don't fool yourself, James. One of the Mistral Council spoke up. There never was any negotiating with Spectre, and there never will be. More importantly, Naruto. One of the Veil Council spoke. Yes, counselors? Naruto turned his attention back to the conclave. We agree to your terms. Clean slates for you and your two friends, and we'll forget all about what Spectre said about you. We won't trouble you anymore come the resolution of the coming war. Even though I know this is out of desperation, Naruto sighed. I'll accept it as well. You have my blades come the war. Ajpin. Another Veil Counselor called out to the headmaster. Yes, sir? Ajpin glanced up at the group of 4 men. We all know he's not a regular student. Give him an appropriate station, and know that he's under the Conclave's protection now. He and his 2 friends make him a captain. Captain? Naruto asked. We'll explain it later, kid. Crow managed a sigh as he shifted his weapon back into its storage mode. For now, my students and I shall return to Beacon, with your permission. Ajpan glanced up at the platform again, then turned to leave when he got a nod. Almighty God, that was stressful. Naruto let out a sigh of relief as Blake ran up to him and tackled him into a hug. For a second there, I thought he was going to kill the lot of us, she muttered into his ear as she hugged him, then went in for a kiss. Hold up. Naruto held up his hands and chuckled nervously. Gotta go take a leak. Damn it, Nero. Frost let out a genuine laugh. As he left a very perturbed Blake behind, the clone ran off and slipped into another bathroom, smirking when a Kamui portal opened up, revealing the real Naruto, now dressed in his regular clothes. Good acting. He praised his clone. Thanks, boss. The clone beamed before being dispelled. After waiting a few minutes in contemplative silence, Naruto decided enough time had passed and exited the bathroom, immediately noticing that Blake was waiting for him. Stalker much? He asked with a smirk. You denied me a kiss after everything that's happened this morning. Blake deadpanned as she grabbed her boyfriend by the collar of his shirt. Don't think I'm going to let it happen a second time. Would never dream of it. He said as he quickly closed the distance between them in a searing kiss that ended a little too soon for Blake's liking. Come on, everyone's waiting for us and Ajpan deserves an explanation about this whole captain business. After a short walk to the exit, Naruto and Blake found everyone waiting for them, and all eyes were on the blonde of the pair. Explanation time? Naruto scratched the back of his head nervously. That night, Vale Docks, warehouse, midnight. The hell is that red armband on your right arm, kid? Roman questioned as he stared at said object. Turns out, if a student does well enough and proves themselves capable, they're named captain of their year. Naruto shrugged. Which means I guess I'm in charge of my entire first-year class. Like an officer, basically. Emerald also shrugged as she reclined back in one of the chairs surrounding the table. Old man wouldn't have done it without the conclave ordering him to, I bet. Mercury chimed in as he was working on his prosthetics. If anyone deserves it, it's Nero. Frost added. I mean, granted, he's freaking Spectre, but they don't know that. And how are you three here without the cat getting suspicious? Another thought crossed Roman's mind as he gestured to Naruto, Frost and Emerald. My clones are very versatile, Roman. Naruto smirked. Very. Cinder added with a sensual smirk as she shifted in her chair. Agreed. Neo nodded her head as she snuggled into Naruto's lap. We had the entire conclave shaking in their boots. Adam declared victoriously as he walked in and removed his mask, revealing blood red eye that matched his hair. Today was a victory in my book. My words shook the other two headmasters. Naruto nodded. I suspect that Athena will soon join us, just like her daughter. Just like? Roman asked. Pira's on her way here now. Naruto casually mentioned. She came to me just after Ajpan made me first-year captain and confronted me about everything and I confirmed it all. Even told her to come here, which means Merc and I should make ourselves scarce. Frost made to get up, but Naruto gestured for him to stop. No. He held up his right hand. The more of her friends she sees involved with us the better. Paints a prettier picture for her, though you might want to hurry up and change, Emerald warned her boss and friend. After waving her concern off, Naruto rolled up his sleeve once again and formed the half-ram hand seal with his left hand, instantly replacing his regular clothes with his Spectre getup. I'm magic. The way that statement sounded in Spectre's synthesized voice only served to send Frost cracking up with laughter, followed by Mercury and Roman. Soon, their laughter subsided when Naruto stood up, replacing Neo into his chair, and took on his standard Spectre pose, with his arms linked behind his back as the door to the front room opened, followed by two of the front room guards showing their guest in, Miss Nikos. Spectre greeted her with a polite nod of the head. Welcome to my humble abode, Frost? Pira's eyes glanced over the people in the room. Emerald? Mercury? Surprised to see them? Spectre asked. We've been a part of the revolution for a long time, Pira. Frost spoke up. That's how Naruto and I met Merc and M. It's a good cause, Pira. Emerald took her turn. You saw today how backwards the conclave was. You saw how that Schnee bastard was ready to kill Spectre here. That's the kind of hatred that the system has bred. My own old man was an assassin for the conclave. Mercury admitted. When he tried to get me into the family business, I fought him. Ended up with these, he motioned to his legs, and orphaned myself in the process. All true. Miss Nikos' Cinder's silky smooth voice sent a shiver up Pira's spine as she approached. Spectre and I found them both in need of help when the kingdoms would give them none. Emerald, until we picked her up, was a common thief living off scraps and whatever precious items she could sell to her local fence. We gave them a life where the kingdoms would have let them die. Her amber eyes glowed with mischief as she stopped in front of the girl and ran her right hand through her ponytail. We can save you as well as save me? Pira managed to say. From what? We've already had this discussion, Miss Nikos. Spectre stepped in this time. You've come here because deep down, you know we're right, no? You've come here because you know we're Remnant's last true hope at a bright future, and you could be one of our stars. Cinder pushed once again as she stopped playing with the girl's ponytail and brushed a delicate hand over her cheek as she withdrew it. You could make a bigger difference here than any one of us, including Spectre himself. Pira gulped at the woman's actions, trying desperately to get rid of her blush. I want to join the revolution if you'll have me. I want to see this world into a new golden age, and you will at that, Pyrrha. Spectre nodded as he unlinked his hands from behind his back and placed them upon the girl's shoulders. Welcome to the family. This is it, Pyrrha, she mused to herself. Point of no return. A strange sensation then filled her chest. It felt like someone poking? Looking down, her face turned as red as her hair when she saw Neo frowning while poking her. Can I help you? Pyrrha asked after a hesitation. Neo then frowned deeper and grabbed her own breasts. After squeezing a couple of times, she blinked her eyes and they changed from pink and brown to totally pink just as she grabbed Pyrrha's outright and gave them a couple of experimental squeezes. What? Was all the redhead could get out under the short girl's menstruations. Not that Neo cared. Bigger. Neo's frown deepened once again. Yours bigger. Welcome to the family indeed, Mercury shrugged just as Frost and Roman broke out into laughter once again. It seemed like Pyrrha had just experienced Neo's welcome ceremony and passed or failed. They couldn't be sure. It was still funny as hell. What if Naruto has eternal mangekyou sharingan in Ruby? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.